Chapter 852. Yi Hua let out a breath and looked at the night sky of Kangluo continent. The moon hanging in the sky was especially round. Coupled with the current scenery, it was like a bottle of top-notch red wine. Go in peace. In the future there will be people who will help you take revenge. But don't expect too much, no. Don't expect too much because your ending will be the same as yours. Maybe you won't even have the chance to kneel and worship me. After speaking, Yi Hua turned around and left without looking at them again. Feng Xiao and Xia Yang, who were absent-minded, immediately felt the pressure on their bodies getting heavier. They were actually suffocated to death by the pressure released. Even the two Supremes from Broken Meridian Sect and Shin Academy couldn't do it. After all, I am a doer. I want to kill a doer with pressure. Unless it's above Supremes. The two raised their heads and looked at the back of the figure that was getting further away. The shock in their eyes had already reached a peak. The undead is back. And its strength is even more terrifying than before. The future of Kangluo continent is finished. Bang. The huge pressure made the two lower their heads again. Their entire bodies were pressed on the ground. Blood could be seen coming out of Feng Xiao and Xia Yang's skin. All of the veins on their bodies burst, but there was no scene of blood spurting out. The blood was all suppressed inside their bodies. The thickness of the two's body actually decreased. Their hard bones could no longer withstand the pressure and started to break. The pain made the two wish that they could die immediately. But will Yi Hua let these two die so easily? They actually dared to make a move on my women. Don't they know that these women can't even bear to hit me? Alright, I will only dare to hit their butts. As the pressure increased again, the two were directly pressed into pancakes. However, after the two died, their primordial spirits appeared. The two glowing golden balls seemed to want to escape. They tried their best to bring the news of this place out. If they had the black pieces from Broken Meridian Sect, they would be much more at ease. Unfortunately, that kind of technique was monopolized by Broken Meridian Sect. Did Yi Hua not know that they had primordial spirits? Under such a strong pressure, primordial spirits couldn't escape at all. The two primordial spirits were once again suppressed by the violent pressure and landed beside their corpses. Then, like their corpses, they instantly turned into golden pancakes and gradually dissipated. Xia Yang and Feng Xiao no longer existed in this world. They completely disappeared. Yi Hua lightly waved his hand, and the barrier immediately dissipated. Yi Hua then floated down onto the pavilion. Master, have some tea. Daji respectfully served tea. Her master was simply too powerful, and she could only look up at his majestic back. Compared to her master, she was just a small dot on the stars, appearing so insignificant. Yi Hua, what did you say to them at the end that scared them half to death? Xianxia asked curiously. Just now it could be seen that they were really scared. That's right, brother-in-law, why don't you tell us about it? How did you scare those two Dodi to the point that they peed their pants? Qing Yutong shook Yi Hua's arm and asked cutely. In this world, only Qing Yutong would dare to shake Yi Hua's arm like this. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were both mature women, and they wouldn't act like a spoiled child like this. And Qing Yutong had always been treating herself as 18 years old, and was acting coquettishly and cute in all kinds of ways. I reckon that in the future, when she becomes more than 10,000 years old, she would still treat herself as an 18 years old little girl. We were just chatting casually. Who knew he would be so easily frightened? Yi Hua said faintly. I really didn't expect that just by revealing my skeletal face, I would be able to scare others to the point that they peed their pants. In the future, I have to reveal my skeletal face more often. I really like the expression on their faces when they peed their pants after being scared by me. It has already been 10 years since the incident happened, but it turns out that I still have such a position in their hearts. Interesting. Let's play big this time then. Hurry up and speak, don't keep us in suspense. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji pressed Yi Hua onto the chair. It seems like if you don't speak properly today we are going to quarrel with you. Actually, it's nothing much, I just revealed my identity to them. You all also know that I have a grudge against them, so they peed their pants from fright. Yi Hua said faintly. In his mind he was currently preparing for a big matter, and he had just suddenly thought of this matter. Hearing Yi Hua's words, the wives finally understood. It seems like the Yi Hua in the past was also a demon king, if not, he wouldn't have been scared to death. We are going to head back right now. We are going to hold the annual meeting, this meeting is very important. Yi Hua said gravely. His tone seemed to be very urgent and very serious. Seeing that Yi Hua had become serious, the wives also became serious. After all, joking was one thing. Within the pavilion, Yi Hua instantly disappeared along with the four women. The pavilion that was floating in the air lost control and directly fell onto the ground, shattering into pieces. Meanwhile, Yihua directly appeared in Wushu Empire's palace and sat on the throne that belonged to him. Qingye, Donghuang Baiji and Qing Yutong, as the three empresses, sat on the left and right of Yihua. Daji had the identity of a maid, so she was only standing beside Yihua to serve him. However, this was also a kind of benefit. One must know that all of Yihua's subordinates were standing below, and only his wives were qualified to sit beside him. For Daji to stand beside him was already very lucky. Yihua immediately informed everyone to gather for the meeting. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, all of Yihua's subordinates stood respectfully below. When they saw Daji who was beside his honor, all of them were confused except for Wei Chang. However, Mu Ran's figure wasn't within the crowd, because Mu Ran was still in a state of being deceived, and she didn't know that Wei Chang and the others were the emperor's subordinates. Other than Mu Ran, everyone else was present. Subordinate pays respect to your honor, pays respect to your honor's wife. Your honor's wife is blessed by a flood of fortune that illuminates the world. All of Yihua's subordinates bowed and kowtowed. Their lines were still the same, causing Yihua to feel a bit less fresh. However, this wasn't the main point. Get up, the reason why I called all of you here today is to announce something, Yihua said gravely. In actuality, everyone really wanted to know Daji's identity. Is she his honor's concubine? How did his honor coax your wife, to actually make your wife agree to such a condition? Yihua seemed to know what his subordinates were thinking and said faintly, this person is called Daji, she is my female servant. Female servant? Is she the type of female servant that warms the bed? At the very least, that was what all of the men were thinking in their hearts. Look at that Daji's appearance, what the fuck? So flirtatious, coupled with that respectful attitude of hers, this kind of contrast really makes one unable to stop even if they want to. Other than Wei Chang, as long as they have a girlfriend, all of them would grab onto their man's waist. What are you looking at? Have you never seen a beautiful woman before? Do you want to change your girlfriend? If you want it, then just say it. When Yihua saw this scene, he felt helpless as well. Why are all of my subordinates being so henpecked by their wives? Where is your domineering attitude? Did they get eaten by dogs? Let's see if Xianxia and the others dare to be mischievous. If they don't listen, then scold them. If they don't listen, then beat them. If they still don't listen. End of chapter. Chapter 853. If I don't give them some benefits, I won't be able to appease them. Xianxia was very satisfied with the women's actions. This is how I should teach them a lesson, lest they start a harem in the future. This was the first time Daji saw her master's subordinates, and she discovered that every single one of them was very strong. Daji immediately felt pressured. I have to train hard. After all, I am master's maid and my strength definitely has to be high. The reason why I held the annual meeting this time around is to talk about my thoughts, and I want to hear your opinions. Yihua said. If it was in the past, I definitely wouldn't listen to other people's opinions. If I say that it is definitely going to happen, even if it isn't definitely going to happen, I will make it happen. The subordinates slightly lowered their heads and listened to Yihua. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were also very curious about what Yihua was going to say. Yihua was a person of action and not a person who only focused on theories. If he thinks of something, he will do it. This is what a real man is like. I feel that humans and aliens should be able to coexist peacefully. Let's try it out in Wushu Empire. Yihua said gravely. Hearing Yihua's words, everyone went into a daze. Especially the 5 people of the 7 deadly sins, they don't have any good impression of humans at all. Towards the current situation, they only feel that his honor is raising humans. However, after hearing what his honor said today, it seems like his honor is going to implement a benevolent policy. Is his brain fried? How can humans and aliens possibly coexist peacefully? In the tens of thousands of years of history of Kangluo continent, such a situation had never happened before. The 3 wives felt that their husband's idea was not bad. It turns out that Yihua is a good person, and he knows the importance of coexisting peacefully. However, Qingye and the others still underestimated Yihua's original intention. As an alien, Yihua naturally has to give benefits to aliens, and he can't keep giving benefits to humans. After all, in the past I hated humans very much. The most important thing is that the aliens should be rising up, instead of hiding from them. When the time comes, I will wave the flag and all of the aliens in Kangluo continent will gather in the north. And the south will be the humans. What will happen then? When humans fight against aliens, not only will there be aliens, there will also be humans. That will be an epic battle. Right now, Yihua was not only imagining that all of the aliens will gather together to resist the humans' invasion. Right now, Zhu Tian was still in cat form and was currently being carried by Brett. However, Zhu Tian immediately understood his honor's intention and raised both of his hands in approval. If you all have something to say, then say it, don't hide it. When Yi Hua saw that his subordinates were hesitating and daring to say it, Yi Hua saw that his subordinates were hesitating. Lai Gu cupped his hands and said, "Your Honor, how can it be possible for the other races to coexist peacefully with the humans? The humans hate the other races and the other races hate the humans too." Wei Chang also took a step forward and said, "Your Honor, right now Voidless Empire is gradually becoming more and more prosperous, and they have even established a merchant guild. If we were to allow outsiders to enter Voidless Empire, I'm afraid that the consequences would be dire." At this moment, even Yi Zizi stood up and said, "Your Honor, the war between the humans and the mutated races in Kangluo continent has already been deeply rooted in people's hearts. I hope that Your Honor will reconsider." Yi Hua was originally in high spirits, and he was even fantasizing about how his subordinates were praising him for being wise. "But in the end, you actually dared to go against my suggestion? Do you guys want to die? Is it because I don't show my might that you guys are getting arrogant?" All of Yi Hua's subordinates could clearly sense his honor's anger, and they immediately shrugged their shoulders. "Honest words are unpleasant to the ears," Yi Hua said respectfully. "Your Honor, we cannot be too hasty with this matter. We should do a market survey and see how much hatred the people living in Voidless Empire have towards the other races." Xianxia also said tenderly, "Yi Hua, we indeed cannot be too hasty with this matter. Right now, it is not easy for Voidless Empire to become more prosperous. If we were to rashly carry out this kind of order, it would cause dissatisfaction." "Who dares to be dissatisfied? If they are dissatisfied, then drag them out and behead them," Yi Hua said coldly. "This is so annoying, even Xianxia is against my suggestion." Zishan also said something fair. "Your Honor, even if you give out the order, how are the other races going to trust you? Will they enter the city or not? Will they think that this is a trap?" Although what these people said was reasonable, but it still made me feel very unhappy. The flames of excitement in my heart were instantly extinguished by cold water. "Yi Hua, I have a candidate." Dong Huang Baiji, who was sitting at the side, suddenly said. "Oh." Dong Huang Baiji said, "Mu Ran." Hearing Mu Ran's name, Yi Hua's eyes shone. Mu Ran's influence in northern Liang was very big, and her position in the hearts of the people was also very high. Furthermore, Mu Ran even had the title of Saintess. What is the use of a Saintess? Of course, it is for the heart of compassion. When Yi Hua thought of the heart of compassion, he immediately had a good idea. Right now, I need some subordinates with high acting skills. If I want to dispel the humans' thoughts towards the other races, I need to help each other. Back then, I had also won the Best Actor, Best Director, and Best Screenplay awards. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua felt that if they knew that what happened that day was fake, what would they do? Divorce? Run away from home? There are all kinds of possibilities. As long as Lai Gu doesn't reveal his true body, this matter will be able to pass by perfectly. It is best for me to not think about this matter for now. Your Honor, didn't you say that you would be distributing the missions after you came over? Why is it that a few months have already passed and there is still no such thing? Right now, Yi Zizi was already feeling anxious from being bored and she really wanted to go out and cause trouble. Qing Yutong, who was sitting below Yi Hua, had the same gaze. "Those who want to cause trouble, come into the group." "I haven't thought about it yet, I will distribute the missions in a few days," Yi Hua said faintly. "You guys still want the missions? To actually go against my opinion just now, you guys sure have guts." After hearing that, Yi Zizi was a bit disappointed. However, at least this time, Yi Hua gave me a deadline in a few days. Just how many days is in a few days? Yi Hua, I will leave the matter of the public opinion survey to you. Today's meeting will end here. Alright, there might be people coming over next, so make preparations for battle. Yi Hua said faintly. That Xuanhuan manor lost 2 Do Di, and I have already revealed their address. Those people who fainted will definitely speak about it, therefore it is very normal for Xuanhuan manor to come over to take revenge. I really don't know if Xuanhuan manor will be able to put in enough effort this time, and also, what kind of method should I use to crush the other party? I, the Supreme Overlord, have to think about all of these things. This is really giving me a headache. Yes. All the subordinates shouted out respectfully. You guys can disperse. Yi Hua waved his hand. He planned to go and look for Mu Ran to have a chat and see what she thinks. I will go and look for Mu Ran to have a chat. You guys can wash up and wait for me on the bed. Yi Hua said with a slight smile. Qingya rolled her eyes at her husband. In your dreams, we will sleep in separate rooms. and you can go to whichever room you want to go to. Haha, that's right, how about we go to another room? Dong Huang Baiji said jokingly. End of this chapter. Chapter 854. Yihua didn't pay any attention to her at all. Yutong, we will make our preparations tonight. Alright, brother-in-law, with Qing Yutong as an accomplice, is there still a need to be afraid of not being able to deal with them? Qing Yutong, you dare. Qingya glared at Yihua with her beautiful eyes. This traitor, back then he shouldn't have pushed Yutong to Yihua. Right now the two of them are working together to bully others. SSS. Qing Yutong made a funny face then ran out of the room. Most probably, Qing Yutong went to look for Yi Zizi to form a party. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. Seems like our way of thinking is wrong. Yutong's personality is unchangeable. Sai, as an elder sister, there must be something wrong with my brain to actually push Yutong to Yihua. I regret it. Dong Huang Baiji laughed. It's useless even if you regret it now. What's done cannot be undone. Sigh. Qingya let out a long sigh, expressing her helplessness. However, at this moment, Yihua had already arrived at Mu Ran's palace. Just when he walked into the palace, he saw Mu Ran sitting on the swing in the garden and staring blankly at the moon, seemingly like she was thinking about her family. She didn't even notice that Yihua had walked up to her side. Cough. Yihua coughed lightly. Mu Ran was stunned. She quickly jumped off the swing and respectfully shouted, "Long live the Emperor!" "Get up." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Mu Ran respectfully stood at the side looking quite pitiful. Her entire family had been killed and now she had no relatives left. Wei Chang had originally planned to tell Mu Ran the truth, but he was stopped by Tang Wei. If he told Mu Ran now, it would be like stabbing another knife into Mu Ran's wounds. Wei Chang thought about it and agreed, so he decided to talk about it in a few years. However, with Song Konghong by her side, Mu Ran's mood wasn't that bad. "It's all right." Yihua walked to the stone bench at the side and sat down. Mu Ran stood at the side and said respectfully, "Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. Mu Ran is already much better." "That's good. Now I have something for you to do." Mu Ran was speechless. "You have to say that? Actually, it's not good. I was just being polite." "Please speak, Your Majesty." "Take a seat." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Yihua let out a breath, then asked faintly, "What do you think of humans and outsiders?" Right now, Yihua didn't know what to say to avoid being splashed with cold water later on. Humans and non-humans? Mu Ran was very confused. She didn't know what the Emperor meant by asking this. Could it be a test for her? It was said that the Emperor liked to ask his subordinates questions. If they answered well, he would praise them, but if they did not, he would scold them. "Idiots, you don't even know this." Therefore, Mu Ran felt that she had to behave herself and replied, "The hatred between humans and mutated races has existed for thousands of years. The two sides are like fire and water. I heard that the incident that happened in the south 10 years ago was also caused by a group of mutated races. The hatred between humans and mutated races has reached an unprecedented level. 10 years ago, this was something that I, the Supreme Overlord, was doing, and now it was actually obstructing my footsteps. This is really F***ket up. Mu Ran, do you think human beings and non-humankind beings have a chance to coexist peacefully?" Yihua asked gravely. If even Mu Ran doesn't want to become the Holy Maiden of 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 the Holy Maiden. Mu Ran's eyes lit up. "My Emperor, it would be best if humans could live in peace with the mutated race. After all, there are good and bad people in the mutated race. Those bad guys from 10 years ago will definitely go to hell after they die." Yihua, F***seek right now, there is a person who is scolding me to my face that I will go to hell after I die, and I am unable to do anything about it. Let's not talk about the incident that happened 10 years ago first. How do you think human beings should be able to live in peace with the mutated race? My Emperor, it is my dream to be able to let humans and non-humankind live in peace. Mu Ran will use my entire life to accomplish this. When Mu Ran spoke about this matter, his gaze became clear. Mu Ran seemed to have found a goal to live on. I don't need you to use your entire life to accomplish this. I want you to accomplish this as soon as possible. Do you have the confidence to accomplish this? Yihua asked gravely. I still have to use my entire life to accomplish this? Where do I, the Supreme Overlord, have so much time to wait? After hearing that, Mu Ran was startled and said hurriedly, My Emperor, this is a huge matter, and it is impossible to accomplish it within a short period of time. Therefore, I have an idea right now, and with your identity it will definitely be useful. Ah. Mu Ran felt that his brain was a bit lacking. This emperor is always able to think of all sorts of weird things. Yi Hua said helplessly. Mu Ran is still too young and his thinking is not mature enough. Next, Yi Hua slightly arranged the plot of the plot. After hearing that, Mu Ran was dumbstruck. Is this even possible? Isn't this too? Mu Ran, what do you think? Yi Hua asked gravely. At the same time he used Doom's eyes, as if he dares to say no. Mu Ran said in a low voice, My emperor, your idea. This belongs to the category of deception. Mu Ran. Why can't your brain think properly? For the sake of peace, what is this little bit of deception worth? Think about it, when humans and aliens appear in the entire voidless empire, just how great of a moment would that be? Our deception would be exchanged for peace, so what about it? Did I say anything wrong? Towards Yi Hua's crooked logic, Mu Ran was actually unable to find a point to refute. He felt that the emperor was too good at talking. Mu Ran, just give me an answer, are you going to do it or not? If not, I don't need you anymore. Yi Hua snorted coldly. This Mu Ran needs to be stimulated a bit. No, I'll do it. Mu Ran naturally hoped to be able to see that kind of situation, but he still had to plan it properly. Perhaps, it would really be like what the emperor said, in less than a year, the scene of humans and aliens coexisting in voidless empire would appear. It would truly be a great moment. Very good. From tomorrow onwards we will plan it properly, your identity is very important. For the sake of his dream, Mu Ran decided to give it his all. Mu Ran shall listen to my emperor's arrangements. Yi Hua smiled and stood up, then patted onto Mu Ran's head. Very good, I will be going back first. Respectfully send off my emperor. Looking at the back view of the emperor who was leaving, a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Mu Ran's mouth. The emperor is such a good person, he is thinking for the sake of the world. If Mu Ran were to know of Yi Hua's true intentions, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Right now, outside of Azure Dragon Empire, Yang Yao and Shiryu slowly woke up and shook their heads to clear their minds. Where are the people? Shiryu asked puzzledly. Palace Master, look over there. Hua Yang suddenly shouted out. Yang Yao and Shiryu looked over and saw two corpses that were placed together, and it was evident that the corpses were already lifeless. Yang Yao hurriedly ran over to take a look, and from the clothes he could tell that the corpses were those two Do emperors. Such a result caused Yang Yao to take a step back. The two Do emperors from Xuanhuan residence are actually dead. Shiryu, who was at the side, was also endlessly astonished. Those are two living and breathing Do emperors, and yet they were actually turned into flatbread. Just how terrifying is the strength required to be able to do such a thing? End of this chapter. Chapter 855. The group of subordinates also did not dare to believe it. Do-di was no small matter. A group of people surrounded the corpses of the two Do-di. That kind of gaze and that kind of demeanor was as though they were looking at rare animals. They were even discussing it. How do you think these two Do-di died? From the looks of the corpses, they should have been crushed by something. Are you stupid? What kind of thing could crush two Do-di to death? Maybe it was a heavyweight fatty. Yang Yao and Shiryu walked to one side and softly conversed. Their expressions were more serious. Yang Yao, how do you think they were killed? Shiryu was also extremely doubtful. Fainting at such a critical moment was definitely not something they wanted them to see. Yang Yao took a deep breath and said in a low voice, from the looks of the situation at the scene, there was not much of an impact. However, it caused the death of a Do-di. A powerful chi method does not seem to be able to do this. You mean that it was all based on the pressure that was released? Shiryu exclaimed. She felt that it was impossible to use pressure to crush two Do-di alive. What kind of strength would that require? Yang Yao shook his head. I also do not know. It is only a guess. Perhaps someone else knows some high-level chi methods and could also cause such a situation. High-level chi method. Even with a high-level chi method, the person who killed two Do-di would at least have the strength of a Do-zun. Shiryu involuntarily broke out in cold sweat when she spoke until this point. The man in the wheelchair was actually a Do-zun. How was this possible? Could a Do-zun be so low-key? However, when she thought of the four women, it was likely that only a Do-zun was qualified to possess them. If she had displayed disrespect earlier, it was likely that she would have been killed by the man in the wheelchair. Now, we should not be thinking about how these two Do-di died. Instead, we should deal with the Xuanhuan mansion. Yang Yao exhaled. His eyes became even more serious. Hearing Yang Yao's words, Shiryu instantly understood. Tudo D had died for no reason. Who would the Xuanhuan mansion look for? It was likely that they were looking for them to ask about the situation. Yang Yao, there is no need to worry about this. After all, we did not kill them. Shiryu spoke in a relaxed manner. After all, with her own strength, she would not be able to kill Tudo D. She would only be killed by a Do D. How would she have the strength to kill a Do D? However, just as the two of them were discussing, a figure suddenly walked out of the void. Everyone couldn't help but raise their heads to look. It was a man wearing a gorgeous robe. His black hair was very soft and long, almost reaching his waist. A hazy expression appeared on his face as a terrifying aura bloomed from his body. He walked over step by step in the void. With every step he took, ripples would appear beneath his feet. Everyone made way for him, not daring to stand in his way. Shiryu and Yang Yao stared blankly at the man who was walking towards them. What they were afraid of really happened. If his guess was right, this person should be the mansion lord of Xuanhuan Mansion. Dozun Mu Xinhai. Mu Xinhai walked to the side of the two corpses and stared blankly at his left and right protectors. Not long ago, he had a bad premonition that something big had happened. Sure enough, something big had happened. Two of his protectors had actually been killed. Moreover, it was flattened. Even his primordial spirit didn't manage to escape. This murderer was actually so vicious. His intentions should be put to death. He could already see the torment his protector had suffered before his death. As the manor head, if he didn't give an explanation, it would be hard for the crowd to convince them. Also, who was the one who killed his protector? Mu Xinhai suddenly looked at Yang Yao and Shiryu. The latter's legs were trembling. He even had the impulse to kneel down. Was this the aura of a Dozun? It was indeed powerful. Was it you? Mu Xinhai coldly questioned. Yang Yao hurriedly cupped his hands together and said, Mansion Lord, it wasn't us. We were already like this when we woke up. That's right, Mansion Lord. How could we have the strength to kill Tudo D? Shiryu hurriedly explained. Although Mu Xinhai was furious, he had not lost his reasoning. With the strength of these two peak Dozongs, they didn't have the strength to do so. Who was it? Tell me and I will spare your lives. It seemed that if he didn't tell them today, someone would definitely die. Yang Yao anxiously explained, we also don't know that cripple. He suddenly appeared when we were snatching the heavenly flame. That's right, Mansion Lord. That heavenly flame had directly flown into that person's hands. After that, the two protectors started fighting with him. After that, we were knocked unconscious by that man. When we woke up, we were already like this. Sure, you only wanted to protect his life now. This was a great Dozun. If he didn't explain clearly, what if he became angry out of humiliation and killed him? Who could he find to reason with? He was basically done for. Who was it? I don't wish to say it a second time. Mu Xinhai immediately unleashed a pressure. Everyone was sent flying by this pressure. After which, they were firmly pressed onto the ground. However, Yang Yao and Shiryu were still able to endure it. The entire air seemed to be trembling. The two of them were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Mansion Lord, I heard him say that he came from, Wuxia Empire. It is true. We really don't know anything. Shiryu had the heart to cry. He felt that he had been tricked. Although that person didn't kill him, it was possible that he was killed by this Mansion Lord. This was the first time that Mu Xinhai had heard that a person from Wuxia Empire was able to kill his protectors. Are you guys joking? Even if you want to lie, can you think about it? What Wuxia Empire? Does a person from an empire have the ability to kill them? Mu Xinhai asked with a roaring voice. These two protectors were the core strength of Xuanhuan Mansion. Now that they had died for no reason, the fighting strength of the entire Xuanhuan Mansion had directly dropped. How could he not be angry? Mansion Lord, it is true. We can all testify. Hua Yang stood at the side and shouted. He knew that if he didn't explain what happened today, everyone present would probably die. Following Hua Yang's words, everyone started to follow him. After all, they all wanted to live. Although Mu Xinhai didn't believe it, he still wanted to see what kind of strength this Wuxia Empire had to be able to kill his people. Where? Replying Mansion Lord, they are at northern Liang. Shiryu hurriedly said. He felt that Mu Xinhai was showing signs of letting up. Mu Xinhai took a deep breath and turned around to look at the two corpses. His body instantly disappeared from the spot. However, threatening words still drifted out in the air. If I find out that you guys dare to lie to me, you can just wait to be annihilated. Following Mu Xinhai's departure, the pressure on his body immediately dissipated. Everyone felt their body relax and felt much more comfortable. So dangerous, we nearly died. Sure, you felt that he had taken a trip to the gates of hell. In front of a dozun, he didn't even have the slightest chance to resist. End of this chapter. Lai Gu used sound transmission to inform Yi Hua that a person had just appeared, and after sizing up Yi Hua, the person left. When Yi Hua received the news, he could roughly guess what was going on. It should be those people from Xuanhuan Palace. He had killed 2 of their Dodi. Moreover, he had told them the address. If no one came, he would really disappoint this venerable self. Looking at the situation, the attack from Xuanhuan Palace is about to start. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that Xuanhuan Palace will be able to do something. He didn't want to be annihilated by the Blood Tribe sisters like last time. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate. After walking into the bedroom, Yi Hua shouted out, "Yutong. Stop shouting, Yutong won't come over to help you. You can choose which bed you want to sleep on." Xianxia sat on the bed and seemed to be planning to rest. She was wearing light pajamas, and that exquisite curve of hers was something that Yi Hua would never get tired of looking at 100 times. Yi Hua walked towards Xianxia with a stern face, looking as if he was going to beat someone up. Xianxia pouted her mouth. "What are you trying to do? If you dare to beat me up, I will immediately go and seek refuge with my son." Yi Hua couldn't hold it in anymore and laughed lightly. "Beat you up? How can I bear to do that?" Xianxia poked Yi Hua petulantly. "This bastard always likes to scare people." Yi Hua immediately hugged onto Xianxia and carried her on his shoulders. "Yi Hua, what are you doing? Put me down." Xianxia's face immediately turned red. "Don't you know what my husband is thinking? This guy is too overbearing." Yi Hua didn't pay attention to Xianxia at all. While carrying Xianxia on his shoulders, he walked towards Donghuang Baiji's room. Yi Hua could be seen carrying 2 super beauties on his shoulders as he walked towards Qin Yutong's room. Just when Yi Hua opened the door, Qin Yutong called out with a smile, "Brother-in-law, everything is ready." Yi Hua looked to the side. "What kind of item is this? It seems a bit exciting." "Qin Yutong, you better be careful in the future." Xianxia saw it too and her face turned red. "This little sister of mine is simply unparalleled." Donghuang Baiji also shouted out, "Yi Hua, if you dare to do that, I will ignore you. Your Majesty, at the very least, you are someone who poses a high threat. If you act like this, I feel that you are acting coquettishly." After finished speaking, Yi Hua walked towards the bed. Qin Yutong closed the door and Daji continued to stand guard outside. Not long later, moaning sounds could be heard coming from within the room. "I really envy the madams." On the other side, Mu Xinhai returned to Xuanyang Manor. Xuanyang Manor was indeed a manor, but it wasn't within the empire. Instead, it was located in a sparsely populated forest. Xuanyang Manor was indeed rather big, but compared to Wushu Empire, it was simply many levels lower. However, this manor was indeed very big. After all, there were over 1 million disciples training in this manor. Without a huge place, how could it be possible for so many people to live in this manor? Walking into his own territory, all of the disciples had to obediently greet Yi Hua as manor master. Mu Xinhai walked into his own palace and sat on the main seat at the center of the palace while pondering. A scene couldn't help but appear in his mind. Wushu Empire has become mine. It is time for me to let everyone witness the strength of Xuanyang Manor. In the eyes of Xuanyang Manor, you are nothing. Even if I sacrifice 2 of my protectors, I will still be able to support the entire Xuanyang Manor because I am a dozun. As a powerful dozun, what is it to take down a small city? Looks like there is a need for me to call some people over to have some fun and let them see my strength. Mu Xinhai immediately sent out the invitations and then prepared for the matters regarding the battle. When the disciples realized that the manor master had the intention to start the battle, they felt that it was inconceivable. However, they were still very excited in their hearts. I can finally start the battle. Soldiers are trained for a day, and now is the best time to start the battle. Very quickly it was the second day. Mu Xinhai was preparing to welcome the 2 big shots. The 2 of them were at the peak of the Dodi realm. Under my invitation, the 2 of them will definitely listen to me. After all, their strength is right there. Sitting on the chair that was specially used by the manor master, Mu Xinhai was already rubbing his palms together. After preparing for a few more days, I will be able to set off. I am really curious about what the people in the city will think when I bring them to the entrance. Will they directly open the door and surrender? I'm really curious. That kind of scene will definitely be very exciting. End of this chapter. Chapter 857. Venomous Serpent Sect Master Shi has arrived. Broken Moon Valley Master Xiangli has arrived. Two middle-aged men walked in with smiles on their faces, as if they didn't know that the Xuanhuan Palace had lost two protectors. Greetings, Manor Lord. Xiang Liren greets the Manor Lord. This was the difference in strength. Even if it was just a little, he would still need to be respectful. This was a dozun. At the south side of Aluo River, these three sects could be considered to be able to be brought to the stage, and they were just following the rules. Please take a seat. Shi and Xiang Liren sat on either side of him. Shi asked curiously, Manor Head, I see that your Xuanhuan Manor is about to make a move. Are you going to attack something? What can we do for you? Xiang Liren asked with a faint smile, seemingly trying to curry favor. Mu Xinhai laughed. You must be joking. I invited you over this time just to watch a show. Xiang Liren and Shi were confused. Watch a show. It couldn't be that simple, right? Mu Xinhai gradually retracted his smile and said in a deep voice, Two of my protectors were killed at Aluo River yesterday. What? What? Xiang Liren and Shi stood up abruptly, unable to believe what they had just heard. They were naturally aware of the strength of the two protectors from the Xuanhuan mansion. They were both Do Di. Although their ranks were not high, they were still Do Di. How could he have died in a place like Aluo River? Right now, I only heard that the murderer is in Voidless Empire. Thus, I intend to go and take revenge. I will flatten the entire Voidless Empire. Mu Xinhai's body emitted a vast killing intent, and the two of them could sense this hatred. It didn't seem like he was lying, and there was no need to lie about such a thing. Academy Chief, what exactly happened? Shi asked curiously. A Do Di died just like that? This was way too fake. Mu Xinhai didn't hide anything now. Yesterday, I sent them to the Aluo River to snatch the mystical fire. In the end, they encountered an even more powerful person and were killed. By the time I arrived, it was already too late. Is that person in Voidless Empire? Why haven't we heard of it before? Xiang Liren asked curiously. How could he recognize someone who could kill a Do Di? However, he had never heard of this Wusu Empire. Mu Xinhai replied in a deep voice, I've never heard of it before, but I went to take a look yesterday. There's indeed such a place in northern Liang. A remote and desolate place like the land of northern Liang? Shi chuckled with deep sarcasm. The land of northern Liang was indeed a remote and desolate place in the north, and some of the big sects looked down on it. In the beginning, Mu Xinhai also thought so, but when he saw Wushu Empire, only then did he realize that Wushu Empire is the real tycoon. Mansion Chief, have you thought about something? The one who killed the two protectors is also an expert of the Dozun class? Shi reminded. After all, from the looks of it, Mu Xinhai wanted to drag the two of them over. However, if the other party was really strong, even Shi wouldn't be able to handle it. How could Mu Xinhai not have thought of this? Don't worry, I even called Fan Jin. Mu Xinhai wasn't a fool, how could he not call for reinforcements? Fan Jin. Hearing these two names, the two of them were shocked once again. Mansion Chief, are you talking about that mysterious Fan Jin? Xiangli found it hard to believe. It was said that this Fan Jin had already reached the peak of the Dozun class, and he was only a small step away from the Jizun class. It had been a long time since he appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Today he actually managed to invite Fan Jin over, how could they not be shocked? That's right, it is this mysterious Fan Jin. Mu Xinhai smiled slightly, appearing as though victory was already within his grasp. Shi asked curiously, Mansion Chief, I heard that this Fan Jin is very difficult to invite. It is so difficult to even find him. How did you do it? Oh, I helped him once in the past, that's why I am asking him for a favor this time around. Mu Haixia did this as a form of insurance. She felt that it was necessary. After all, the other party had killed two Do Di, and his strength was definitely at the Dozun class. With Fan Jin around, they would definitely be able to suppress him. Hearing such certainty, the two of them were relieved. With Fan Jin taking action, there was basically no need to worry. Mansion Chief, have you investigated the guards of Wushu Empire? Xiangli seemed to be more experienced. After all, this was just a precaution. Speaking of guards, Mu Xinhai recalled the guard from last night. That guard seemed to have taken a glance at him. That was definitely an accident, or perhaps it was a misconception. How could a guard possibly notice me? I'm really thinking too much. You all can be at ease. How strong can the guards of an empire be? This time around, we will let those people from northern Liang see the consequences of angering my Xuanhuan prefecture. We will kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Mu Xinhai was very arrogant. It seemed like he wanted to wipe out the entire Wushu Empire. Xiang Li and Shi stood up, cupped their hands and said, "Then we wish Mansion Chief a great victory." "Thank you, the two of you. Men, bring the two esteemed guests to rest." Xiang Li and Shi walked out of the palace hall and followed a disciple to the living quarters. After the disciple left, the two of them sat on a chair and chatted softly. "Why do I feel that this is so unreliable?" Xiang Li frowned slightly and said, "Going to such a faraway place to attack for no reason at all, isn't this a little too exaggerated?" Shi narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "This is understandable. After all, two Dodi have died. Pulling everyone out to train is also to raise their fighting strength and also for revenge. But what does he mean by calling us over? I really don't understand." Shi laughed softly and said, "What else can he mean? He just wants to show off his strength in front of us. Look at him, he even called Fanjin. Do you think we can call such a person? So I really have to give up. Why is he acting cool in front of us? If he goes and kicks a metal plate, it will be a good show." Xiang Li casually said. Shi smiled and shook his head after hearing that. "If you can get it right, then your mouth will be opened. All of us will die." Xiang Li hurriedly blew away this bad prediction. However, he did not expect that his prediction was indeed correct. Kicking a metal plate was painful. Getting injured was a small matter, but dying was the most important thing. "Alright, let's not think too much. Just treat it as giving them some face and shocking the scene." Shi was quite open-minded. No matter how powerful the northern Liang land was, it was only SOSO and could not be too powerful. Xiang Li nodded and did not say anything else. 3 days passed very quickly. All the disciples of Xuanhuan Manor were mobilized together, and the number of people had reached 1 million. These 1 million people were all elites, with the lowest being a rank 5 doja. As long as they attacked the city, these people would be like leeches. Over 1 million disciples boarded the battleships. In the sky there were 10 huge battleships. End of this chapter. Chapter 858. The size of these battleships was several times larger than the one from the Tianliang sect. Each battleship could seat 100,000 people. This time around, the Xuanhuan mansion had mobilized 1 million people. It could be considered a large-scale operation. Such a situation had not occurred in the northern region for a long time. However, the news of the Xuanhuan mansion moving out had spread during these few days. It had caused quite a commotion. Mobilizing so many people to attack an empire was like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. Perhaps they felt that the Xuanhuan mansion was displaying their strength. That was why they had created such a huge commotion. Even the Ren King prison and 3 Absolute Hall in Aluo knew about this news. Yang Yao and Shi also planned to go and take a look. After all, this was a battle of the Xuanhuan mansion. Although their strength was a little weaker, they were at the peak of the Dozong class. It was possible for them to handle some small matters. The main point was that they could form a relationship with the Xuanhuan mansion. It would be useful for their future development. The 10 battleships majestically headed to the north. Along the way, some smaller battleships joined in. This was also a form of respect. The battleship at the front was naturally Mu Xinhai's. He stood at the front of the battleship and looked down at the land. This feeling was very good for Mu Xinhai. It was as if he could cover the sky with his hand. Dozun. If he could step into the ranks of the Jizun, he would also be able to become a godlike existence. How happy would that be? In a while, he would be able to display his glory in the northern region. He would let everyone see the consequences of offending the Xuanhuan mansion. Even a Dozun would have to kneel before him. Looking at these factions in the northern region, all of them were following behind him. Only a person as strong as him was worthy of such support. At this moment, Mu Xinhai was filled with pride. It was as if he could already see the Wushu Empire falling under his feet. He did not even need to sacrifice a single person. Yang Yao and Shi were also behind the large group. They had merely driven a small battleship over as a gesture. After all, both parties had suffered heavy losses a few days ago. They were currently recuperating. Looks like the Xuanhuan mansion is getting serious this time. Yang Yao and Shi stood on the deck and looked at the enormous battleship. They were extremely envious. This was the aura of a large sect. However, others had 10 such battleships. As for them, they only had 1. Moreover, they were unwilling to use it for fear of destroying it. Yang Yao took a deep breath. Yeah, I haven't seen such a battle for many years. I feel that Wushu Empire is finished. With the appearance of a Dozun, he will definitely flatten it. It was as if Shi could already see the flames of gunpowder burning in Voidless Empire. This was going to be a perfect massacre. Feast of Death. In Voidless Empire, this morning was the same as usual. Everyone woke up from their dreams and began their busy day. However, after seeing such a flourishing city, no matter how tired I am, it will be worth it. I must buy a house. Right now, Lai Gu was patrolling the city gate tower as usual, and he was still wearing his pajamas. He was yawning non-stop, seeming like he didn't sleep well. With 4 such beautiful wives, it would be strange if he could sleep well. Lai Gu let out a sigh of relief. Xuanhuan is really becoming more and more sensible. This feels great. Just when Lai Gu was standing on top of the city wall and reminiscing, a few black dots appeared on the horizon. Lai Gu thought that his eyesight was blurred and rubbed his eyes with all his might. A lot of black spots had indeed appeared in his eyes. *CKME. Lai Gu couldn't help but curse inwardly, and his entire body was trembling. This was not a trembling of fear but of excitement. Something big had happened. This is too great. Don't make a sound, don't tell anyone to listen, I will deal with this group of people myself. At this time, His Honor shouldn't have woken up yet. As a qualified subordinate, it is perfectly normal for me to help His Honor with His Honor's worries. There is no need for me to disturb His Honor for such a small matter. If Xuanhuan were to find out about this, he would definitely stew Lai Gu. I, the Supreme Overlord, have painstakingly put in so much effort just to create a big scene, and yet I actually didn't come to report to you. All of the white-armored warriors did not have the slightest bit of extreme reaction, and they appeared to be very ordinary. Even the city gate was still open. This guy is simply not putting these people in his eyes at all. Meanwhile, on the battleship, when these people saw the magnificent Voidless Empire, they were all stupefied. Is this really an empire and not some big sect? The height of that city wall is too exaggerated, right? And that color, are you afraid that others won't know that you are rich? Xianxia and Shi were also stupefied. They seemed to have already understood why Mu Xinhai mobilized so many people. From the looks of it, Xuanhuan has taken a fancy to this city and wants to take it for himself. It is a pity that Mu Xinhai discovered it first. If I was the one who discovered it first, I would have been able to secretly take it down. Yang Yao and Shi were also stupefied. This was the first time they had seen such an empire, and it simply refreshed their understanding of empires. This is too spectacular, this is the first time I have seen something like this. Shi was shocked to the point that she couldn't even describe it with words. That slightly opened mouth, that astonished gaze, and that trembling pair of hands, it was as if she wanted to hug the entire Voidless Empire into her embrace. Although Yang Yao didn't say anything, greed could still be seen in his eyes. If I was the one who discovered this place first, I might have already taken it down. An evil smile appeared on the corner of Mu Xinhai's mouth. Today this place shall belong to my Xuanhuan palace, and no one shall even think of touching it. Whoever dares to touch it shall die. As the battleship advanced forward, it arrived at a place not far away from Voidless Empire and stopped. Mu Xinhai saw a strange man. He seemed to be wearing a thin robe and he was standing on top of the city wall and looking at the city. Why is that hairstyle so strange and it is even split in the middle? That man has a dazed expression on his face. I reckon that he was just scared silly by Mu Xinhai's troops. Some ants sure have a lot of expressions on their faces. It is best if they kneel down and submit, then open the city gate. The city gate is actually open. Mu Xinhai couldn't help but laugh out loud. So it turns out that they were all scared silly, to the point that they even forgot to close the city gate. What a bunch of trash. Xianxia and Shi, who were standing behind Mu Xinhai, were very puzzled as well. It can't be that these people were scared silly, right? Be careful, it might be a trap. Xianxia reminded. Mu Xinhai waved his hand. They are just a bunch of clowns, there is no need to be afraid. Men, come. Go over and greet them. A disciple could be seen respectfully receiving the order, and very quickly the disciple landed in front of the city gate. Standing on top of the city gate gave one a feeling, but only when one was standing below the city gate did one realize just how tall the city gate was. Listen up. You guys have already been surrounded. Quickly put down the weapons in your hands, if not. Before the disciple could finish speaking, his expression became strange, and his face seemed to have become red. Mu Haixia slightly wrinkled his brows. Could it be that these people dare to kill my disciple? Do they not want to live anymore? When the time comes, don't blame me for massacring the entire city. The commoners inside the city will definitely be scared to the point that they are trembling. However, within the city, all of the commoners were walking back and forth on the streets. They didn't put the matter to heart at all, and they were even laughing and discussing with each other. End of chapter. Chapter 859. He saw an old man sitting in a tea stall talking quietly. Sigh, another bunch of people who have come to die. Yeah, I don't know what these people are thinking. Do they have nothing better to do? What else can they think? They probably think that our voidless empire is easy to bully. That's right, but they never expected to bump into an iron plate this time. As soon as he said that, everyone in the tea stall laughed. Even though the city gates were still open, there were still people passing by. They didn't care about what was happening outside at all. This was also the trust that the people had towards Wushu Empire. They believed that Wushu Empire was powerful, and this was something that Yihua did very well. A powerful empire needed to let the masses have this kind of consciousness. If even the masses thought that you were incapable, then you wouldn't be able to survive. At this moment, Mu Xinhai's expression gradually turned solemn as he looked at the disciples who were gradually walking back. Palace Lord, save. Before the disciple could finish his words, bang! His entire body suddenly exploded, and a bewitching bloody mist blossomed in the air, shocking everyone. Mu Xinhai wasn't able to adapt to this. Initially, he didn't think that he would need to sacrifice a single person to conquer Voidless Empire. Now, one of them had died before they even started. Wasn't this the same as slapping his own face? Letting others see him as a joke. Lai Gu, who was standing on top of the city wall, grinned, then shouted towards the other side, "The people on the other side, listen up, you are already surrounded by death. To your right is the spectator stand. If you don't want to die, you can stand there. I'll treat you as a spectator." After finished speaking, Lai Gu waved his hand and 3 big words appeared. In the spectator stance. Lai Gu understood his honor's intention. For something like this to happen, the outcome would definitely be that all of them would be exterminated. However, the news of all of them being exterminated had to be brought out by someone, therefore Lai Gu still had to keep some of them alive. However, they couldn't leave him alive after the fight. They had to shout now. Because only smart people would do smart things. Fools would only be accompanied by death. Lai Gu's way of doing things made Mu Xinhai a bit surprised. This person, how audacious of him. To actually say such words, it seems like you don't know how powerful I am. To actually set up a spectator stand at the side, why don't you just call it a life-saving stand? This is simply an insult to me. Up until now, he hadn't seen an army gathering. This kind of empire was only SOSO. Xiang Liren and Shi quietly retreated a few steps. What should we do? Xiang Liren was a little uncertain. This voidless empire was very strange, and he was really afraid that Mu Xinhai had kicked a metal plate. If that happened, he would be done for. Shi said softly, "Don't worry. Didn't the prefecture master say that there's still Fanjin? As long as there's a Jizun here, we'll be safe. As long as there isn't a supreme being, what if there is a supreme being? Do we have to die with him?" Xiang Liren started to waver. His intuition told him not to stand there, but to stand in the audience seats. Shi asked doubtfully, "What's wrong with you today? Why are you so paranoid? Up until now, that Fanjin still hasn't appeared. What if he doesn't appear? How do you know if he's telling the truth or not? Is Fanjin really that easy to invite? Don't tell me you want to go to the audience over there," Shi said in a low voice. Xiang Liren didn't say anything. He was making a decision in his heart. Should he go or not? This feeling was like making a choice for his life. Which side should he listen to? It wasn't just Xiang Liren and Shi, Yang Yao and Shi Yu were the same. "Yang Yao, I don't think we should get involved in this mess." Shi Yu felt a bit uneasy. Just a moment ago, that disciple exploded just like that, and at that moment, Shi Yu felt that his entire body wasn't feeling good. Doing something like that is undoubtedly provoking Xuanhuan manner. Today's slaughter was unavoidable. As for the massacre at the beginning, to hell with it. He didn't even know what method he used to kill a disciple, and he was still thinking of slaughtering them. If he were to be slaughtered later, he would suffer a calamity as well. Therefore, right now, other people have given me a chance to survive. Should I grab it or not? That was the real problem. However, Yang Yao didn't have the same thoughts as Shi Yu. He said lightly, "If you want to go, no one will stop you." Yang Yao still wanted to ride on Yuanyang Prefecture's coattails. This was also a gamble that Yuanyang Prefecture would win. As long as Yuanyang Prefecture won, he would also get some benefits. Shi Yu was currently thinking frantically. That night, that man killed 2 Dodi. He was definitely a Dozun. Moreover, this Mu Xinhai was also a Dozun. If they were to fight, it would be difficult to predict the victor. This kind of battle was not something that a Dozong like him could participate in. Thus, he had to make his choice as soon as possible. However, Shiryu was still hesitating right now because he didn't know if his choice was right or not. Lai Gu, who was standing on top of the city wall, was a little impatient. All of you are not afraid of death. I will give you all another 10 seconds. Lai Gu shouted out. After Mu Xinhai heard what Lai Gu said, he was a little puzzled. What the hell is 10 seconds? Lai Gu began counting down. 10, 9, 8. Over 1 million people were listening to Lai Gu's countdown, but only 2 people were able to hear it. And that was Xiang Liren and Shiryu. They knew that the other party was giving them one last chance, forcing them to make a choice. 3, 2. Xiang Liren and Shiryu almost wanted to curse out. Just now, I clearly counted to 8, why did it suddenly jump to 2? Shameless. Mu Xinhai shouted out towards Lai Gu. Stop shouting. Since no one is going to go, why don't we fight to our heart's content and let you all know how powerful my Yuanyang prefecture is? Wait till I flatten your Wushu empire, I will let you all kneel in front of me and count down your lives. However, when Lai Gu counted to 1, 2 figures could be seen flying out from the huge group. Mu Xinhai sensed it, and his expression instantly darkened. I feel that my face is very painful. These 2 bastards. Why didn't you come out earlier? Why did you only come out after I shouted out? Aren't you 2 slapping my face? I want to see who it is. After I get rid of Wushu Empire, I will get rid of the 2 of you. When Mu Xinhai saw that the person who left was Xiang Liren, he felt very uncomfortable. This is the person that I called over. And now he actually ran out. Are you King sick? Don't you know my strength? To actually choose to run to the spectator stand to save his life. As for the other person, Mu Xinhai forgot who he is. He is just a small character. Even if he is just a small character, I will still kill you all later on. Towards Xiang Liren and Shiryu running away, everyone let out mocking laughter. These 2 trash were actually scared away by the other party. This is truly embarrassing. However, what everyone did not know was that Xiang Liren and Shiryu had made a wise choice. When Shiryu saw that Xiang Liren actually ran away, he felt helpless in his heart. No matter what, you have the strength of a peak Emperor Do and you were actually scared away. If this matter were to spread out, how are you going to raise your head? Your Broken Moon Valley will become a joke. End of this chapter. Chapter 860. Yang Yao also sighed softly. This Shiryu was still too young and couldn't withstand a scare. The other party had merely shouted a number, yet he had been frightened away. That valley chief was also the same. His strength at the peak of the Do D class was also frightened. I'm really impressed. Xiang Liren and Shiryu stood alone on the side, accepting everyone's mockery. Of course they didn't feel good. But since he had already escaped, he had to accept the consequences. Especially when they saw Mu Xinhai's eyes, Xiang Liren and Shiryu could feel that he was planning to kill the 2 of them. Therefore, right now they could only hope that Voidless Empire would be able to withstand the damage. When Lai Gu saw 2 people flying out, he was a little shocked because these 2 people were very smart. However, there were over 1 million people here and there were only 2 smart people. The ratio was frighteningly low. The people of the Kangluo continent were indeed fools. Praise should be given. Who are the 2 of you? You have made the most glorious choice in your life. You will be proud of this. Along with Lai Gu's words, Xiang Liren and Shiryu could no longer laugh. Your Voidless Empire had better bring out some of your strength. At the very least, close the city gate. Do the Emperor know that you all are so careless? Mu Xinhai narrowed his eyes slightly. In the face of such humiliation, he had to use a battle to redeem himself. Otherwise, even if his army was defeated, it would still be a humiliation that could not be washed away. You all dare to fight. Mu Xinhai shouted towards Lai Gu. F*ck, there's actually someone who dares to challenge this king. How daring. However, just when Lai Gu was about to reply, he actually heard the sound of footsteps coming from the stairs, and his expression immediately turned bad. Someone is coming. Who is it? Who dares to snatch this king's chance to act cool? When Mu Xinhai saw that the other side's commander was panicking, he immediately laughed out loud. Ha! That's all. Xiang Liren and Shiryu both had the heart to die. Big brother, what kind of expression is that? Can you change to a more confident expression? Even if it's just for show, please, can't you give us a little more confidence? Do you know how much courage it took for us to rush out? Don't lie to us. Xiang Liren and Shiryu looked at Mu Xinhai, only to find that he was grinning at them. My God, don't play with us like this. Where did your imposing manner go just now? Could you please reveal a bit more? Lai Gu didn't care about it at all. Listening to that slight footstep sound, who is it? If it were those underlings, they would definitely listen to him and not disturb him. But if it was one of the 7 deadly sins, then it was hard to say. Hearing the slight footsteps, Li Gu dared to conclude that the person walking in front of him was a female. Of the 7 deadly sins, Yizizi and Brett were both female. Brett took care of absolute heaven every day, so how could she have the time to fool around outside? Please don't let it be Yizizi. God bless me. Buddha bless me. Big bone dragon, what are you doing? Hearing that familiar voice, Li Gu felt despair. When this expression fell into the eyes of the million people, they immediately burst into laughter. This was the expression of a person who was about to die. Not only was Li Gu in despair, Xiangliren and Yu were also in despair. This kind of despair did not have any seasoning added to it, it was the original taste. Wow, there are so many people, Yizizi exclaimed while covering her mouth. Li Gu ran to Yizizi's side, then pushed Yizizi down the stairs. Zizi, be good, it is still early, quickly go back and sleep. Yizizi pursed her lips. Alright, I will go and wake his honor up. Li Gu, Zizi, are we brothers? Li Gu asked gravely. Am I good to you? Good. Then can you go back and sleep? Not good. Li Gu, my good Zizi, what exactly do you want? Li Gu gave in. Why did I have to meet Yizizi? It would be better if I met other women. Yizizi grinned and said, of course I want to play. Do you want to play by yourself? Without a choice, Li Gu could only compromise. Let's make a deal then, you can't act shamelessly. And I won't act shamelessly. Yizizi's pair of scarlet eyes revealed a hint of craftiness. Li Gu could only believe in Yizizi for the time being, and his complexion gradually returned to normal. This caused Xiangliren and Yu, who were not far away, to feel relieved. This is exactly the kind of expression that should be filled with killing intent. Relieved, relieved? But who is this little girl? Just now this man seemed to be very afraid of her. This is truly strange. Could it be that this little girl is an expert? However, I can't see how she is an expert at all. Isn't she just a little wimp? Yizizi could be seen falling down from the sky, and Li Gu was stupefied. I haven't even said who is going to be the first round, and you are already jumping down just like that. Looking at Yizizi jumping down just like that, Xiangliren and Yu felt unwell. Your Wushu empire is so big, could it be that there is no one else? To actually send a little girl to fight against me, you should at least send an adult. My God, are you guys trying to make us anxious to death? Such a cute little girl is actually going to die. I really can't bear to see this happen. And me. I'm going to die soon as well. My God, don't treat us like this. Yizizi stood on the snowy ground and stared at the millions of people in front of her, then said with a smile, who is going to play with me? Send someone powerful. Of course, Mu Xinhai wouldn't go up himself. How can the main commander go up in the first round? Only when the main commander is unable to handle the situation will the main commander be able to go up. However, Mu Xinhai didn't expect that the other party would actually send out a girl. This girl is really no different from a child. Who is willing to fight on my behalf? Mu Xinhai shouted gravely. Me. Yang Yao could be seen suddenly standing out, then floating in front of Mu Xinhai while cupping his hands and saying respectfully. Looking at Yang Yao's way of doing things, Yu felt helpless as well. Why do you have to be so anxious? Just look at the situation first. Right now, we don't even know how strong the enemy is. Yang Yao's thinking was very simple. Right now is the best time to gain the enemy's trust. Alright. If we win this battle, your name will be left in the history. Thank you, Palace Master. Yang Yao was happy in his heart. Seems like my decision is correct. For Yang Yao to be able to do such a thing, he completely treated Yizizi as a girl, thinking how strong a little guy could be. Using a little guy to gain the Palace Master's trust, it is very worth it, it is not a loss at all, and instead, it is a huge profit. Just now, Shuri also wanted to fight, but in the end he still hesitated, which was why Yang Yao got ahead of him. However, Shuri didn't really take it to heart, but now that there was a chance for him to perform. After Yang Yao received the order, he flew towards Yizizi and stood not far away from Yizizi. Yang Yao, don't kill nameless people. Report your name, I will let you die happily today. Yang Yao could be seen summoning out his tomb spike and preparing to use all sorts of drills. End of this chapter. Chapter 861. Yizizi twirled her ponytail with her slender fingers and smiled. No need to introduce yourself, I am not interested in your name. In any case, I will not be able to see you later. Boasting shamelessly. Watch my thorn. Yang Yao shouted angrily, trying his best to display his strength so that Mu Xinhai would take a fancy to him. A silver thorn instantly condensed in Yang Yao's right hand and exploded with quite a bit of aura. The thorn was even emitting a faint blue light. With one look, one could tell that it was a weapon that had been tempered thrice. This Yang is not bad, he has even tempered a primordial godly weapon thrice. Mu Xinhai said after seeing. Shi, who was standing behind, smiled and said, for a person at the peak of the Dozong realm, it is already not easy to temper a primordial godly weapon thrice. This Yang's potential is indeed not bad. It is indeed not bad, let's see if he can defeat his opponent. Mu Xinhai said faintly. If this Yang can help me regain some face, there will still be a reward, but if not, then don't blame me for being ruthless, your benevolent king prison will no longer exist. In the arena, the thorn in Yang's hand directly pierced towards the space between Yi Zizi's eyebrows. The explosive speed of his body caused people to be speechless. This had definitely surpassed the strength of the peak of the Dozong realm. The snow on the ground flew into the sky under this violent aura, instantly forming a beautiful picture. Although Yi Zizi appeared a little lazy, she was still very happy in her heart. Finally, someone came. This is simply too great, otherwise I would have been suffocated to death. Although this is trash, I can still play with it and entertain my mood. After all, there is not even chicken dinner in this world, it is really boring. Seeing the opponent attack, Yi Zizi's delicate body suddenly jumped back, as if she was escaping for her life. This scene caused Shi and Xiang Liren to have the heart to die. Since she knew that she had to escape for her life, why did she come down just now? Got it? She must have been pushed down just now. Yi Zizi dodging backwards made Yang even more violent. He only retreated because he believed that Yi Zizi could not handle it. Deep drill. Yang shouted, and the thorn actually began to spin crazily, bringing along a snowflake as it attacked towards Yi Zizi. Over 1 million people heard the name of this move, and at least half of them revealed astonished expressions. It seemed that half of them were experienced players. Shi sighed softly. Why did Yang have to come up with such a weird name? It really made people blush with shame. Moreover, he had to shout it in front of millions of people. Fortunately, he didn't shout that move. Toxic Dragon Drill. Facing this sudden deep drill, Yi Zizi actually stretched out her small palm. Yang could even see the lines on Yi Zizi's palm. She actually used her palm to block my deep drill, she was simply courting death. Ha! Hearing Yang shout, a wave of qi immediately dispersed in all directions. His aura rose once again and a dazzling light burst out from his tomb. Shi couldn't help but continue watching. Oh my god, how did you block it with your palm? Although Yang's name was very dirty, its power couldn't be underestimated. When Mu Xinhai saw this scene, he also revealed a sinister smile. This little girl was really naive. However, Shi, who was standing at the back, didn't think so. Just now, this little girl had clearly taken the initiative to come down, and looking at that guy now, he didn't have the slightest bit of worry. This could only mean one thing, this little girl was not as simple as she thought. Perhaps this Yang was finished. Bang! A huge wave of qi exploded in front of the city gate. The snow on the ground all melted, and the scene became blurry for a moment, causing people to be unable to see the result clearly. Xiang Liren and Shi stared at each other, and they were shouting in their hearts. Don't die, if you die we will also die with you. The corner of Mu Xinhai's mouth curled up into a smile. Although there was a huge gap between me and a peak Dozong, this kind of attack had already reached the level of a rank 1 Do Emperor. Receiving the attack with his hand without wearing any defensive equipment, the result was already very obvious. That arm is definitely gone, I, Mu Xinhai, am 100% sure. However, just when Mu Xinhai was 100% sure, the smile on the corner of his mouth gradually fell, and his gaze also became shocked. Not only Mu Xinhai, Shi, who was at the back, also revealed a shocked gaze. Just now, it was all just a guess, but only after seeing this scene with his own eyes, did he know that it was really very shocking. Xiang Liren and Shi were also shocked, but after the shock the two of them actually let out cheers. This made them even more astonished. Looking at the over 1 million people who were as silent as death, only Xiang Liren and Shi's cheers could be heard, as if they were the cheerleaders of the other party. To Xiang Liren and Shi they should indeed be cheering. After all, they had handed all of their hopes to Wushu Empire, and if Wushu Empire was unable to hold on, they would also die. However, right now, this is too great. That little girl actually grabbed onto the sharp end of the mausoleum spike. Indeed, Yi Zizi's left hand grabbed onto the sharp end of the mausoleum spike that was spinning crazily, and the corner of her mouth even carried a trace of an arc, as if she was mocking Yang for overestimating his capabilities. My depth drill is a big move, and the sharp end of the mausoleum spike was actually grabbed onto by this little girl. What is that hand of hers made of? Is it a prehistoric artifact? You just don't believe me and you are actually chasing after me to beat me up. Zizi laughed softly, and her palms slightly exerted force. Bang! The mausoleum spike that was a prehistoric godly artifact could be seen shattering. At the very least, the sharp end of the mausoleum spike was completely shattered by Zizi. This scene caused the over 1 million people to be dumbfounded. A prehistoric godly artifact was able to shatter with just a small hand, and it was even tempered thrice. How is this possible? Zizi squeezed her hand, then slowly loosened her grip, and some powder could be seen floating out from her hand. Yang Yao's expression revealed out an astonished expression. Without thinking too much, he directly leaped backwards and pulled apart the distance between them. He felt that the person standing in front of him wasn't a little girl at all, she was a demon. The incarnation of a demon. This was the first time he saw someone being able to shatter a prehistoric godly artifact into powder. Zizi slowly walked towards Yang Yao, and Yang Yao retreated backwards reflexively. When Shi Yu saw this scene, he thought that Yang Yao was finished. The bird that sticks out will be shot, why can't you hold back anymore? Mu Xinhai looked at Yang Yao, who was gradually retreating, and his expression became extremely ugly. 100%. Why do you always make me lose face? This damned Wushu Empire. Just what is this little girl made of, to be able to shatter a prehistoric godly artifact with just her palm? Shi Yi, who was behind Mu Xinhai, sighed in his heart. This Yang Yao should be finished? I reckon that only a Dozun would be able to deal with this little girl. Over 1 million people watched as a little girl gradually forced Yang Yao to retreat. No matter what, that Yang Yao was at the peak of the Dozong realm, and he needed his dignity as well. Right now, he actually didn't even want his dignity anymore. From this, it could be seen just how terrified he was. End of this chapter. Chapter 862. Only those who truly faced Zizi would feel fear. One couldn't blame Yang Yao for being timid, this was a normal reaction. Back then, Zizi even beat others until they became autistic. Don't retreat, we haven't started fighting yet. Zizi laughed lightly, she felt that she hadn't even warmed up yet. Yang Yao's face was filled with fear as he continuously retreated and questioned with a trembling voice, "Just who are you? Me? I am me. You are stupid to actually ask this kind of question. You are not allowed to retreat anymore. Otherwise I will get angry." Zizi kept her smile and said coldly. Yang Yao wouldn't be fooled, he was obviously not her opponent, and he even lost a weapon that was tempered to level 3, and he even lost face. This was not a worthwhile trade. Yang Yao could be seen running away very shamelessly, his body turned into an afterimage and flew towards the horizon. Seeing Yang Yao running away in a hurry, Mu Xinhai wished that he could kill him himself. This was a deserter, everyone had the right to punish him. However, when Yang Yao was running away, Zizi's figure also disappeared. When Yang Yao was really happy that he ran away, Zizi's figure once again appeared in front of him. "I hate people running away the most," Zizi said in a low voice, and her small fist suddenly shot out. Before Yang Yao could even react, he felt a pain in his abdomen. But it was only a little bit of pain. "Haha, it doesn't hurt at all?" Yang Yao laughed wildly, this crazy laughter seemed as if it was going to penetrate through the heaven and earth. Along with a boom, Yang Yao's body could be seen exploding in the air, causing everyone to be dumbstruck. Instantly killing a peak Dozong with a punch. "May I ask, how did you do it?" Sure, you also had the strength of a peak Dozong, but seeing Yang Yao being killed with a punch, his entire person was not good. If it was him just now, he would definitely be killed with a punch. He didn't even see how powerful that punch was, it was as if it was just a casual punch. Mu Xinhai felt that this little girl definitely had a weapon on her hand, otherwise how could she be able to grab a prehistoric godly item and instantly kill a peak Dozong with a punch? All of this felt so impossible. Zizi raised her small fist and said slowly, "So weak, gone in an instant, I already said not to introduce you, what a waste of saliva." After speaking, Zizi floated towards the city tower. "Let Lai Gu go up, these people are too weak, I'm not interested." "Zizi, are you not playing anymore?" Lai Gu was happy she finally left. Zizi pouted. "Boring. I'm going back to sleep. You can play by yourself." "Haha, alright, bye-bye." Lai Gu was very happy in his heart. "Leave quickly, leave these people to me." Seeing the little girl leave, a lot of people were happy. Thought in his. He saw that the little girl leave. Actually, Yi's Yen thought in that had left. Actually, seeing the little girl leave, many people secretly rejoiced. After all, the impact of Zizi's attack just now was very strong. Now that she had left, Everyone felt at ease. They even felt that with an expert gone, it would be easier to deal with them. They had forgotten that Yi Zizi was heading towards the city. Even if the city was breached, they would still have to face them. However, at this time the city gates were still not closed. Could they be a little more careful? In any case, they were here to attack the city. If they closed the city gates, there would still be an atmosphere of attacking the city. The current atmosphere was very bad. Lai Gu shouted loudly, "That round just now doesn't count, let's start again." "Sure you, Xiang Liren? Why doesn't it count?" "Why doesn't it count? It definitely counts. That Yang Yao isn't the strongest, he's just a cannon fodder. Don't get arrogant, you average guy." Mu Xinhai felt that the other party was insulting him again and said gravely, "Sure Yi, you go and play." Sure Yi paused for a moment, then said respectfully, "Manor Master, how about we see who the other party sends out first?" Mu Xinhai still didn't know that this Sure Yi was a cunning old fox. If the other party was very strong, he definitely wouldn't go up. "You guys send out your people." Mu Xinhai shouted loudly. Lai Gu was happy. Just as he was about to jump down, a voice rang out beside him. "Lai Gu, what are you doing?" Lai Gu felt that he was going to die. Why do people keep appearing at such a crucial moment? Can't all of you come at once? Don't appear so intermittently, this will tire me to death. The person who came was still a little girl. Kai Yun. This was also someone that Lai Gu didn't want to see. After all, this Kai Yun was from Yuehua's side, so he had to give way to her. Wow, so many people, so many ships. Kai Yun looked at the horizon and couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Both of his hands were covering his mouth, as if he was very afraid. Sure Yu and Xiang Liren's jaws were about to drop onto the ground. A little girl just left. Why is there another little girl coming? Could it be that this Wushu Empire doesn't have any big ones, all of them are little girls? And this little girl doesn't seem to be as strong as the one just now, she seems to be very weak. How about I send out another little girl? Lai Gu squeezed out a smile and asked, "Kai Yun, why did you come?" "Oh, I just bumped into Yi Zizi. She said that there's something fun to do here," Kai Yun said with a smile. Yi Zizi did not lie to him. Sure enough, there was something fun here. Lai Gu covered his face with his hand. "This Yi Zizi, I let you go and play for a round, so why did you still have to tell other people about it? Furthermore, you even told Kai Yun, this wife's family. Then why is this king still playing? These people were discovered by this king. You can't snatch them all. That Kai Yun Yuhua has something to talk to you about today." Lai Gu began to bullsh *t. "As long as I can trick Kai Yun away, everything will be fine. Yuhua is looking for me? There's no hurry. It's not a big deal anyway." Lai Gu hurriedly said, "It's a big matter." "Did you bully Yuhua?" Kai Yun asked. "How is that possible? Why would I bully Yuhua?" Lai Gu was truly ashamed. What is this Kai Yun thinking about all day long? Then I'll go down and play. Without waiting for Lai Gu to reply, Kai Yun floated out just like that, and his face had a childlike innocence. At the very least, many people felt that this was the expression a child should have. The one just now was too savage and not to be trifled with at all. Seeing that the little girl had gone up the stage, Xiang Liren and Sure Yu felt a bit despair again. "Manor Master, leave this little girl to me." Sure Yi, who was standing behind Mu Xinhai, said respectfully. Sure Yi was able to guarantee that this little girl is definitely not as powerful as the previous one and is definitely weaker than the previous one. Therefore, I can go up the stage and ensure that everything goes smoothly. However, Sure Yi didn't think of one point. Even if the other party is weaker, you are still not a match for the other party. This is the fatal blow. You are still too young. End of this chapter. Chapter 863. Go, be careful. Mu Xinhai did not object to Sure Yi's request. This Sure Yi had the strength of a peak Do Di. It was a completely different concept from the peak of the Do Zone class. Hence he was much more at ease. The main point was that this little girl looked like an honest person who was easy to bully. If Kai Yun knew what these people were thinking, she would definitely laugh delicately. "How do you guys know that I'm an honest person? You're really too smart." However, just as Sure Yi was about to step onto the warship, a figure suddenly appeared. This surprised everyone present. This was a young man who looked as cold as ice. His skin was very white, and the main point was that his appearance was very beautiful, and he had long hair. If she wore women's clothing, she would definitely be a great beauty. When Mu Xinhai saw this person, he immediately greeted respectfully, "Greetings, Fan Jin." Sure Yi had never seen Fan Jin before, but when he heard Mu Xinhai's words, he immediately cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Fan Jin." No need for formalities. Fan Jin said calmly, appearing very natural. His right hand was placed behind his back, and his left hand was placed on his abdomen. Seeing Fan Jin's sudden appearance, Mu Xinhai and Shi both calmed down. This was a person who was half a step into the realm of honorable martial artist. Today he would definitely destroy Wushu Empire. When Fan Jin caught sight of the voidless empire before him, he let out a slightly startled look as well. However, he quickly retracted it. Who would have thought that there would be such an empire in the northern cold land? This was truly an eye-opening experience. No wonder Mu Xinhai wanted to take it for himself. Even he was a little tempted by it. However, as someone who already had half a foot into the ranks of Supremes, he still couldn't bring himself to do so. Sure, you also saw the man who suddenly appeared and expressed that she did not know him. Valley Master, who is this man? Sure, you asked curiously. Xiang Liren's entire body froze. Mu Xinhai had really called Fan Jin over. Originally he thought that it was fake. How could Mu Xinhai call Fan Jin? But now that the truth was in front of him, he had no choice but to believe it. Sure, you was shocked to see Xiang Liren beside her. Even she felt a little uncertain. Valley Master, who is this? Xiang Liren took a deep breath. This is Fan Jin, a man who is half a step into becoming an honorable. Hearing Xiang Liren's words, Shiryu was like a stone sculpture, unable to budge an inch. This person was actually the legendary figure of the north, the great god Fan Jin. He was just a step away from entering the ranks of Supremes. This was too terrifying. Also, why did he come here today? I'm done for. A person who is half a step into the realm of Overlord came and he's really dead. Shiryu wasn't the only one who thought this way. Xiang Li and the others also felt the same. They were really dead. Mu Xinhai was now full of confidence. As long as Fan Jin was around, they would definitely win today's battle. Don't worry. Fan Jin said calmly. This was just a small matter and there was no need for him to do anything. Just look at the formation of the other party. No, this shouldn't be called a formation because there was no formation at all. There was even a little girl standing in the middle, and the city gate was still open. Could it be that they were scared silly? Where was the emperor? He couldn't be dreaming, right? Right now, Yi Hua was currently hugging onto his 3 wives, and he was currently dreaming, and he was completely unaware that his subordinate had snatched away the limelight of him acting cool. I reckon that when Yi Hua wakes up, he would already be gone. Daji stood outside the door and waited. In order not to disturb her master's sleep, she even set up a barrier. This bunch of reckless fools actually dared to disturb his master's sweet dreams. He really wanted to rush out and kill them all. In the field. Shuri finally entered the field. He steadily landed 30 feet away from Kai Yun. Kai Yun had been maintaining a childlike smile. Coupled with that petite figure of hers, she really looked like a child. However, different from Yi Zizi, this was a little girl that came from the bottom of her heart. Kai Yun felt that there was a rather powerful person that came just now, but that powerful person actually didn't come down, and what the hell came instead? I'm really a little disappointed, sigh. Shuri heard the sigh of the little girl and asked curiously, if you go back now, I won't kill you. You want to kill me? I haven't even planned to kill you yet, bad guy, Kai Yun said with a childish voice. Shiryu immediately covered her face. Big sister, how can you say such words when 2 armies are facing each other? You have to say some threatening words just like that little girl just now, saying some threatening words right from the start. Threatening people at the drop of a hat, this is what is called imposing manner. Look at you, your words are still soft and you even said that you are a bad guy at the end. My god. I'm definitely a bad guy. I'm dead for sure. Shuri didn't expect that this little girl would be so delicate, to actually call me a bad guy. Do I look like a good person? I'm already fighting my way to your doorstep. I've already given you a chance, don't blame me for being ruthless. Shuri said coldly. Since they were on the battlefield, age and strength were no longer important. You can only blame yourselves for underestimating your opponent, to actually ask a little girl to come and fight. I don't blame you. Kai Yun said happily. This person's words were really interesting. Following Kai Yun's words, over 1 million people were secretly laughing. This little girl was much more adorable. That little girl just now was a violent little loli, simply too terrifying. However, the one fighting this time around was Shuri with the strength of a peak Dodi. He would definitely be able to kill his opponent with one punch and turn the tables. Xiang Liren and Shiryu were almost unable to hold on any longer. Both of their legs were trembling. This little girl couldn't give them confidence at all. They would definitely be completely abused by Shuri. As the leader of the Viper sect, Shuri was an expert in playing with snakes. His snakes were all carefully bred, and even a dozun had to be careful when dealing with them. After being poisoned, it was impossible to cure them in a short period of time. In that case, I'll let you have a taste first. Shi swung his right hand, and a black shadow flew out from his elegant robe and attacked Kai Yun. Its speed was so fast that it left one speechless. Fan Jin saw Shi's action and faintly said, "It is unexpected that this person actually has a Kuan snake. Not bad." Mu Xinhai respectfully said, "He is the leader of the Viper sect, Shi. He specializes in collecting some rare snake species." "So that's the case. That makes sense," Fan Jin faintly said. At this moment Shi also exclaimed, "What kind of snake is this?" Xiang Liren said in a deep voice, "This is a Kuan snake. This kind of snake is extremely small, but its poison is extremely high. Even a Do Di will faint after being bitten. Moreover, this kind of Kuan snake is extremely rare. If it is not raised from a young age, it will kill its owner." "What if I am bitten?" Shi curiously asked. Xiang Liren looked at Shi and laughed softly, "You will be gone in a breath's time." "Damn it, is it so terrifying?" Shi exclaimed. "That's right. This fellow is the Snake King, a Do Di who plays with snakes. He is much stronger than me," Xiang Liren faintly said. It seemed that he was also very afraid of these poisonous snakes. It was impossible to guard against them. End of this chapter. Chapter 864. Shiryu's face turned ashen as she listened to the end of the story. A Do Di who played with snakes was really King untouchable. This little girl was finished. After she was done for, he and the Valley Master would also be done for. "Are you two trying to play us to death?" It was cold. Kai Yun seemed to be in a daze as if he didn't know what was going on at all. That innocent look of his made people believe him without a doubt. Lai Gu, who was standing on top of the city wall, was very depressed. "Don't create any more trouble, I just want to go down and act cool. What's wrong with that? I'll just pretend for a while. Damn it, I've already thought of my lines." As the Kuan snake sped forward, Kai Yun suddenly stretched out his hand. It was so fast that no one noticed it. Seeing this, Fan Jin, who was standing on the battleship, was stunned for a moment. His brows furrowed slightly. Who was Kai Yun? Back then she was a little girl who had fought against Yi Hua. Her strength was terrifying, and her battle prowess was not to be underestimated. In the end, Yi Hua still managed to scare Kai Yun to the point that he pissed his pants with Yi Hua's deviant flame. This also showed how formidable deviant flames were, especially Yi Hua's deviant flame, which was even more monstrous to the extreme. However, even now, Yi Hua still hasn't managed to fuse with all the different flames that he wanted. On the other hand, Dong Huangli casually fused with all the different flames, causing Yi Hua to feel depressed. However, when I thought about my child's talent, I didn't really put it to heart. My child should be more powerful than me, only then would I be able to make myself feel proud. Kai Yun grabbed the Kuan serpent's head. Everyone was dumbfounded by this action. Looking at Shiryu and Xiang Liren, their eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Their mood was like sitting on a rocket, going up and down. They felt like they couldn't handle such a state of mind. Just a moment ago he thought that the little girl was done for, but in the blink of an eye the little girl actually grabbed the Kuan snake. Mu Xinhai couldn't help but exclaim, "How is this possible? She actually caught it?" Fan Jin stood at the back and did not say a word. His face was a little gloomy. Even though it was only a small claw, it contained too many profound techniques. From the moment it moved to the moment it landed, everything was done neatly, and it was so swift that even he was only able to catch a glimpse of it. What kind of little girl was she? Fan Jin was a little shocked. In terms of speed, this little girl did not lose to him. Looking at the open city gate behind the little girl, Fan Jin unconsciously swallowed his saliva. Just what kind of world was beyond that? And the man on the city wall. What the hell was he wearing? Why was this outfit so strange? It was too frivolous. And it was pink. His hair was even parted in the middle. And that frivolous expression, his whole body lying on the city wall, as if he was very bored. Just a moment ago she had thought that this man was being arrogant, but now, he didn't take it to heart at all. This was a kind of confidence. "What happened before I came?" Fan Jin faintly asked. His solemn expression faded away. He knew that he couldn't express his negative emotions right now. After all, Fan Jin also wanted face. Mu Xinhai softly said, "Just now the other party also sent out a little girl. She shattered a peak do zone with one punch." "She's also a little girl?" Fan Jin was puzzled. Were there no men in this empire? Did they all let girls compete? That's right. That little girl crushed an ancient godly item, and it was even tempered thrice. Mu Xinhai added. Then he added, I feel that the little girl should be carrying some kind of weapon. Fan Jin was speechless. If he was really carrying a weapon, that would be fine. But if he didn't bring it? Fan Jin couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. If he didn't bring it, his strength should be at least at the overlord level. Because even I am unable to crush an ancient godly item that was tempered thrice with my bare hands. Right now, Fan Jin was a little uncertain. Suddenly, Fan Jin asked, what are those two people standing over there for? Spectator seats? Great God, Fan Jin, those two people are traitors, they are cowards. If they just stand there, Wushu Empire won't be able to harm them. Mu Xinhai said gravely. After I take care of Wushu Empire, I will kill those two people. Indeed. Fan Jin said softly. He seemed to mind, but he still took a look at the spectator seats. On the stage, Shuri was a little speechless. My Kuan snake was actually caught by the girl on the other side. This is a scene I have never seen before. She is actually still teasing my Kuan snake. That's right. Kai Yun was indeed teasing Shuri's Kuan snake. TSK, good little snake, what is your name? Kai Yun could be seen grabbing onto the lower part of the snake's head and patting onto the Kuan snake's head with his left hand. To be honest, right now, the Kuan snake was a little stupefied as well. The Kuan snake charged out with the aura of death, and that expression on its face was rather sinister. As long as someone saw that expression, that person would definitely be fearful. If there was a mirror in front of the Kuan snake, even the Kuan snake would be frightened by that ferocious expression. Just as the Kuan snake was about to bite onto the girl's neck and release its liquid, unexpectedly, the girl grabbed onto its throat, and that feeling was just as if its lifeblood was cut off. Furthermore, the girl even patted onto its head. Could it be that you have never seen such a ferocious snake before? Look at my ferocious expression. Are you frightened by it? Still not letting go of me? Let me take a bite. I'll. Patting my head, if you have the guts, pat my head again and make my expression 3 times more ferocious. I will make you shiver in fear. Kai Yun said with a smile. Aya, this little snake actually knows how to use emoticons, cute? After finished speaking, Kai Yun patted onto the Kuan snake's head. The Kuan snake immediately felt that its dignity was being insulted, and it opened its big mouth. SSS. Are you fierce or not? Don't be frightened to the point of peeing. However, the Kuan snake that opened its mouth was stupefied. If it were to say what was the thing that it regretted the most in its entire life, it would be that it opened its mouth in front of this little girl, because Kai Yun directly pinched onto the Kuan snake's poisonous fang and pulled. Afterward, Kai Yun pulled out another poisonous fang, then said with a smile, all right, you are not poisonous anymore. Over 1 million people were stupefied. This little girl is so scary. Killing people without a trace. No, this is killing a snake without a trace. You pulled out a poisonous snake's fang, how do you expect other people to be poisonous snakes in the future? Do other people's snakes not care about their face? In front of over 1 million people, you humiliated a snake in front of everyone. Too much. This is too much. This kind of way of doing things is simply asking for heaven's punishment. Right now, the Kuan snake didn't know what was going on, it just felt that its mouth was in pain and its brain was buzzing. Afterward, when it closed its mouth, it felt that something was missing, just like the feeling of an old person without teeth. My teeth? My poisonous fang. Mommy, where did my poisonous fang go to? End of this chapter. Chapter 865. Shiyi's face was already red from anger. This is not only insulting my snake, this is also insulting my face. She actually pulled out Kuan snake's tooth. How is this possible? Kuan snake's tooth is not inferior to a prehistoric godly item, and she actually pulled it out. This is definitely impossible. Shouldn't such a naive little girl be playing under her mother's knees and asking for sweets to eat? And that hand of hers is made from a prehistoric godly item. Originally, Fan Jin was already very shocked when Kai Yun grabbed onto Kuan snake's neck, but when he saw that the little girl actually pulled out Kuan snake's poisonous tooth, Fan Jin felt a little dizzy. The reason why the Kuan snake was so rare was because it was a living desolate era godly item. A living desolate era godly item was much better than some weapons. Even a species like the Kuan snake could be compared to a desolate era godly item. Yet, this little girl is actually playing with it in her hands like she is catching a chicken. For some reason, Fan Jin felt that it is better for me to leave. But if I leave now, do I not want my face anymore? Even a snake wants its face, and I am a Peak Dozun, do I not want my face anymore? Great God, Fan Jin, this. Mu Xinhai was also a little confused. That panicked look of his was comparable to Fan Jin's. Why are all the little girls from Wushu Empire so savage? The last one was crushed, this one is pulled out. Do you all still want your face? Is there anyone who fights like this? This is clearly slapping their own faces. When Fan Jin saw that Mu Xinhai turned around, his expression immediately changed. It's fine with me around, they won't be able to cause any trouble. That's good. Hearing the great god's words, Mu Xinhai heaved a sigh of relief. At least Fan Jin is still confident. However, what Mu Xinhai didn't know was that Fan Jin is not confident at all. Right now he is also panicking and even feels that he shouldn't have come today. He is a little regretful. What to do? Xiang Liren and Shiyu's faces were also filled with shock. Shiyu didn't really understand and asked, "Is this Kuan snake's tooth that easy to pull out?" No, it's not easy at all. This Kuan snake's tooth can even bite through meteoric iron. There has never been a record in history that a Kuan snake is afraid of its tooth. This little girl is even more savage than the last one. We have underestimated Wushu Empire's strength. Xiang Liren was now certain that Wushu Empire was filled with hidden tigers and crouching dragons. Shiyu even felt that the person in the wheelchair was actually the weakest. These people were the main force of Voidless Empire. Little Girls Guild? This might be the most pitiful Kuan snake in history to be humiliated like this. Shiyu sighed with emotion in the end. He realized that it was a wise choice for him to run away. God bless the Three Absolute Palace. Xiang Liren felt the same way. Release my snake. The pitch-black silver-winged great snake suddenly expanded rapidly, and in 2 breaths' time, it became a huge snake that was 300 meters tall. This kind of height had already reached the height of the city wall, perhaps even higher because half of it was still coiled on the ground. Wah! Kaiyun couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Even Lai Gu, who was on the city wall, was shocked. It seems like I haven't eaten a snake for a very long time. Although this silver-winged great snake isn't a super tonic, it can still nourish the body. My precious Xuanhuan and my 3 wives all need nourishment. Should I stew it or roast it? What Lai Gu was thinking in his heart was what Kaiyun was thinking in his heart. Such a big lump of snake, how long do I have to eat it? I might as well have a snake stew festival in the whole city. Everyone will be very happy, I'm really looking forward to it. Snake Stew Street, it sounds interesting. Are you afraid? Do you think that this is the end? That is impossible. Shi sneered, and a peak stage Emperor aura was released. Armor of Spirit Root. Dragon Tiger Nail. Giant Seal. Flower Cloud Demonic Piece. Following Shi's shout, an armor appeared on the body of the silver-winged great snake, covering its entire body. On the surface of the armor, countless objects that looked like teeth appeared, emitting a cold aura. On the surface of the armor of Spirit Root, flashing imprints appeared, seemingly causing the defense of the armor of Spirit Root to become even stronger. On the surface of the armor of Spirit Root, many strange flowers also appeared. These flowers carried the aura of death, announcing their arrival. End of this chapter. Chapter 866. A powerful aura burst forth from the silver-winged serpent's body. This was a snake with a lot of buffs. Although this silver-winged snake was slightly weaker than the Kuan snake with these buffs, it was much stronger than the Kuan snake. The Kuan serpent was used for sneak attacks, catching people off guard. However, this silver-winged serpent was used for frontal attacks. To put it bluntly, this snake could destroy an entire empire. This snake is so powerful. It feels like it has the strength of a Dozun. Shiryu exclaimed. It had swelled up just after it was released. At that time, it felt that it only had the strength of a Do-D. However, with the addition of those chi methods, it had directly broken through to the Dozun class. Xiang Liren simply said, I've already told you Shi is a snake player. This silver-winged serpent is one of his trump cards. Today he used it and it was an eye-opener for me. If Shi breaks through to the Supreme Being stage, I'm afraid this snake will be ranked among the prehistoric beasts. What? Prehistoric ferocious beast? Shiryu was so shocked that he was speechless. If this Shi had really reached the level of a Supreme Being, and could even make a snake reach the level of a primordial beast, then it would be shocking. After all, being able to command a primordial beast was an extremely terrifying thing. At this moment, Mu Xinhai finally smiled. Looks like Shi is still hiding some strength. This silver-winged serpent is indeed powerful. It is already a rank 1 Dozun. Although Mu Xinhai was smiling, he was a little uneasy in his heart. This was because Shi's trump card was indeed terrifying. After all, he was only a rank 2 dozun while he was only at the peak of the Do D class. Yet he had a dozun pet and could fight with him. He could only say that Shuri was too good at hiding. He had to be more careful in the future. Shuri had no other choice. He didn't want to use this move, but the Kuan snake's death made Shuri angry. He revealed his trump card. Fan Jin, who was standing at the side, was not happy at all. Based on the little girl's move just now, the snake should be able to handle it. Now he was only hoping, but he was wrong. However, how could someone at the peak of the dozun class make a wrong judgment? However, when the millions of people saw this scene, they instantly cheered, and their morale reached its peak. Kill, kill, kill. Battle cries rang out from outside the city, piercing through the clouds. An austere aura immediately engulfed the entire battlefield. When Shuri heard such a murderous aura, his blood began to boil. Silver-winged serpent. Eat this heartless man in front of you. Shuri bellowed, and the huge silver-winged serpent seemed to understand him. His body instantly began to spiral and he looked down on Kai Yun. The sturdy head instantly smashed towards Kai Yun. The armor that wrapped around the head of the silver-winged serpent suddenly blossomed with a gorgeous color, and the ferocious spikes were like a blooming flower. Faced with the ferocious silver-winged colossal snake, Kai Yun grinned and said, "Wow, how can I eat such a big lump? There's too much." Boom. The silver-winged serpent crashed heavily into the ground, leaving behind a huge crater. A berserk airwave spread out in all directions, and even the battleship that was in the sky started to sway slightly. However, when it came into contact with the city wall, there was no reaction at all. No one saw this because they were all looking to see if the little girl was dead or not. However, Fan Jin witnessed this scene. Such a powerful shockwave was actually unable to cause any damage to the city walls. Furthermore, he had clearly sensed a fluctuation of aura from the city walls just now. There must be something guarding it. If I didn't sense it carefully, I wouldn't have noticed it. Look at that Mu Xinhai, there was no reaction at all. To be able to do this, perhaps only an overlord would be able to do it. If that's the case, this Wushu Empire has an overlord. *CK. Didn't this damned Mu Xinhai say that this is just a small empire? This fucking small empire actually has an overlord, and he even dragged me here to die. How about I leave right now? Face is small but life is still very precious. Just as Fan Jin was thinking of running away, his gaze suddenly became astonished. How is this possible? There is actually someone who sealed the space. And I actually didn't notice it at all. It's over. Even I didn't notice it at all. There is probably really an overlord in the city. This time I am really screwed over by Mu Xinhai. I don't even have the chance to escape and this group of fools is still cheering. Can you all grow a heart? Other people are just playing around. *CK. No wonder other people are still opening the city gates, completely not putting everyone in their eyes. And that man on top of the city walls, the smile on the corner of his mouth is still there, that man is most likely even more savage. Mu Xinhai looked at the scene and didn't notice the changes in Fan Jin. In Mu Xinhai's heart, this Wushu Empire is just like a piece of paper, and as long as I give the order, the city gates will immediately be broken. Everything will be plundered, and this Wushu Empire will become my Xuanhuan Manor's territory. And I will be living in the palace. This is such a thing that I yearn for. At the scene, when the smoke dispersed, the silver-winged great snake could be seen to still be in an attacking posture. But as long as one observed carefully, one would notice that the silver-winged great snake's body was slightly trembling, as if it was using a lot of strength, but it was useless. A pair of wings could be seen unfolding on the silver-winged great snake's body. It wasn't without reason that it was called silver-winged great snake. A pair of wings allowed it to have the ability to fight in the air, and it was simply a battle tool that could be used in the air, land, and sea. Shuri was a bit confused. Why is my silver-winged great snake able to unfold its wings? This doesn't make sense. Furthermore, it seems like it is flying backwards. That's right now the silver-winged great snake was indeed flying backwards. Its pair of huge wings were flapping crazily, and strong gales swept through the entire battlefield. Don't run. Suddenly a young and tender voice rang out and everyone heard it. However, after hearing it, everyone's expression changed greatly, and the cheers from just now immediately disappeared. The size of the silver-winged great snake was very big, and Kai Yun was just like a black dot in front of it. Furthermore, there was also a deep pit in front of it and no one knew what was going on. But after hearing what Kai Yun said, everyone realized what was going on. This little girl is humiliating a great snake in front of everyone again. Why must you be so savage to actually humiliate an innocent great snake? Doing such a thing will make people despise you. Right now, the silver-winged great snake's entire body was floating in the air, as if its head was stuck, and it was trying its best to struggle free. And it was even letting out a strange wail. Along with the silver-winged great snake floating in the air, the situation in the pit also appeared. Kai-yun could be seen grabbing onto the silver-winged great snake's teeth. With a smile on her face, she said, "Don't I want to eat snake meat for breakfast?" The silver-winged great snake seemed to be able to understand Kai-yun's words, and it flew backwards even more desperately. However, no matter how much strength it used, it was still tightly grabbed onto by the little girl. "I'm recommending a book to a friend. You can't afford to offend this big uncle, so it's fine to leave a few comments. I've been very busy these few days, so there aren't many updates, but it will recover in the future. Thank you all for your support, and I also have to apologize." End of this chapter. Chapter 867. Everyone was shocked by this scene. The size of the silver-winged snake was huge, yet it was being held back by a smaller figure. This contrast was quite unbearable. It was like a salted fish holding back a moving aircraft carrier. This was an unscientific thing. How is this possible? Mu Xinhai involuntarily shouted. His face was filled with disbelief. This was a Dozun-level silver-winged snake, yet this little girl was able to hold it back. This silver-winged snake was struggling crazily, yet it was unable to move the little girl at all. Mu Xinhai, who was in shock, hurriedly turned around and looked at Fan Jin. Fan Jin's current shock was no less than Mu Xinhai's. In fact, it was even greater. However, seeing Mu Xinhai turn around, Fan Jin had no choice but to pretend to be calm. His expression immediately changed. "Great God, Fan Jin, what do you think? There is nothing to be afraid of," Fan Jin said faintly. However, he was already cursing in his heart. "Damn there is nothing to be afraid of. I have been tricked to death by you. Now, I don't even have the chance to escape. What kind of empire is this? It is even more terrifying than Broken Meridian Sect and Shin Academy. They are all perverts." Hearing Fan Jin's words, Mu Xinhai felt a lot more at ease. After all, these words represented the confidence of a peak Dozun. Looks like I have invited the right person. When Shiryu and Xiang Liren saw this scene, sweat flowed out from their foreheads. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were drenched in sweat. They couldn't help but look at the entire Wusu Empire. They thought to themselves, what kind of empire is this? Such a big thing happened, yet the city seems to be quiet. There is no sign of panic. Could it be that the people living in this city are all supremes? Otherwise, how can they be so calm? This is a Dozun leading people to attack. Can you guys show some attitude? This will really hurt the confidence of a Dozun. These two little girls are really too perverted. Xiang Liren couldn't help but say. That twin-tailed little girl was already very awesome. I didn't expect this one to be even more awesome. Just now, I thought that it was going to be over. Who knew that it wasn't like this? My worries are really unnecessary. Looks like my life is saved today. However, here comes the problem. There is still a peak Dozun Fan Jin. Would this voidless empire be able to handle it? Lai Gu shouted at Kai Yun, "Quickly drag it in, we will eat snake meat today." "All right," Kai Yun said happily. Then he took a step back and saw that the struggling silver-winged serpent was being pulled. The huge silver-winged serpent was actually being pulled. Everyone was lying. This was simply too easy. Look at that little girl's face, there was no other expression at all. It was as if she was pulling a dog. Silver-winged serpent. Shi bellowed furiously. However, the silver-winged serpent was already in a state of panic. It simply couldn't hear Shi's orders and flapped its wings fiercely. Kai Yun snorted. The little fellow is really disobedient. Little fellow? Everyone was thunderstruck by Yun Kai's words. Who would dare say that this silver-winged serpent was a small fellow? It was obviously a big fellow. It was long, thick, and very black. Anyone who saw it would be afraid. Shi felt like she was going crazy. In her eyes, the silver-winged serpent had become a little fellow. "Open your eyes," Shi bellowed. The silver-winged serpent's third eye suddenly opened, and a terrifying pressure condensed. Under the terrifying pressure, even the ground trembled. However, this kind of trembling didn't spread into the city, as it was very well protected. Shiryu exclaimed, "This attack. It's very terrifying." That's right, this is the full power attack of a Dozun. This little girl is going to die. Xiang Liren was also a bit lacking in confidence. After all, this was a silver-winged serpent. Kai Yun looked at the light beam that was currently condensing in front of her. She didn't pay attention to it at all and continued to retreat step by step. As more and more do qi condensed in the light beam grew, the entire air started to tremble. The enormous light beam illuminated Kai Yun's young and tender little face. Even now she was still smiling. This made everyone very uncomfortable. Facing this kind of attack, can you be a bit more serious? Even if it's just withdrawing that smile, it's fine. You keep smiling, it feels as if you were just playing around. Can you be a bit more serious? The silver-winged serpent couldn't take it anymore. This little girl actually dared to humiliate it in front of everyone. This attack is going to send her to meet her father. Boom. The condensing was finally completed. A silver light beam shot out from its eyes. Bringing along a ferocious and surging evil aura, it attacked towards Kai Yun's body. Just this light beam alone was a lot bigger than Kai Yun's body. Kai Yun naturally saw it. However, his expression still didn't change, and with a young and tender smile on his face, he stretched out his hand and slapped. Pa! This slap felt as if it was slapped onto the faces of a million people. It hurt so much. However, what happened next caused everyone to be stupefied. Because Kai Yun slapped the light beam away with a single slap. Just like a V-shaped trajectory, this ferocious light beam directly flew towards the 10 battleships. Before that terrifying aura even reached the 10 battleships, a lot of people had already evaporated. Boom boom boom. The light beam could be seen directly passing through 2 battleships, but the battleships did not explode and directly flew towards the horizon. Because the battleships were completely unworthy of exploding, and a single battleship had a total of 100,000 people. However, just a while ago 200,000 people directly evaporated, and the battleships directly turned into fireballs and fell from the sky. Boom boom. 2 loud sounds suddenly rang out. Everyone didn't manage to react in time, and they were all stupefied. What happened just now? Mu Xinhai even rubbed his eyes, feeling that this is fake. The enemy must have used a hateful illusion. He actually directly slapped away such a terrifying attack. Furthermore, he even killed 200,000 of my disciples. This is fake. This is simply too fake. Fan Jin's entire person felt unwell. This little girl. This can already be confirmed. She is an overlord. That attack just now, even I am unable to slap away the attack. Even if I am able to slap away the attack, I would need to rely on tools to do so. However, how could this little girl have any tools? She just casually slapped away the attack. Without reaching the strength of an overlord, how is it possible for her to do that? Zover, I kicked an iron plate this time. Fan Jin only wants Mu Xinhai to not turn around and let me, Fan Jin, be depressed for a while. If not, I still have to put on an act for you to see. There must be something wrong with my brain to actually agree to such a thing. Right now, I have to think of a way to save myself. Xiang Liren was currently astonished and he mumbled, "This little girl most likely has the strength of an overlord." What? Overlord? Sure, you was shocked after hearing that. That's right, to directly slap away such a terrifying attack, only someone with respect would be able to do so. Xiang Liren said gravely. If this little girl is an overlord, then the previous one might also be an overlord. Also, those who are standing on top of the city walls, it can't be that they are all overlords, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 868. Just what kind of country is this voidless empire? Why are there so many honorable martial artists? Luckily I managed to escape. Otherwise I would definitely be dead today. At this moment Shuri was completely stunned. His silver-winged serpent's ultimate move had been slapped away, and even slapped into the group of battle arcs, instantly killing 200,000 disciples. The fire was still burning. This girl was too cruel. She didn't give them any hope. Release my snake. Shuri unleashed the strength of a peak do-di. A curved sword agglomerated in his hand. It should be a snake blade. Kai Yun, who was in the midst of shedding her snake, snorted. You're very annoying. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. Shuri, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, pointed his sword at Kai Yun's forehead. Kai Yun suddenly whispered, "You should still have snakes in your clothes, right? You might as well take them out and let me roast them and eat them." Arrogant. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death. One could see the snake blade in Shuri's hand emitting an intense glow. It involuntarily caused one to raise one's hand to block it. This peak of the do-di class was no joke. Kai Yun once again extended his small hand, slapping the silver-winged serpent's head. The silver-winged serpent, which had been struggling violently, was stunned. and its huge body fell to the ground with a loud bang. Then Kai Yun looked towards the oncoming Shi with a mocking gaze. When Shi met Kai Yun's gaze, he instantly had a bad feeling. However, right at this moment, a voice rang out by his ear. "Is there really a snake in your sleeve?" Shi suddenly turned his head and found that the little girl was on the same level as him. That's not right. Wasn't it in front? How did it end up beside him? Without waiting for Shi to react, Kai Yun grabbed onto Shi's arm. Then he pulled. Ah! Shi let out a blood-curdling scream as he fell to the ground. Meanwhile, when Kai Yun grabbed onto Shi's arm and shook it, he discovered that there was absolutely no snake within Shi's sleeve. That's not right. All the snakes came out from his sleeves. Where are the snakes? Where did he go? Kai Yun casually swung Shi's arm and Shi's arm fell to the side. Is he hiding at the other side? Stingy? Petty? Everyone was shocked by Kai Yun's brutality. Tearing the arm of a peak Dodi was something that had never been seen before. After all, who would tear the arm of a Dodi, other than this little girl? He had actually torn off the arm of a Dodi while he was still alive. He even said that others were stingy. Then, if someone were to be generous, would you tear their entire body apart? Mu Xinhai swallowed his saliva. This Shi was at the peak of the Dodi class. He already had half a foot in the Dozun class. Was it so easy to break his arm? It was obviously not that simple, but this girl actually did it. She pulled it off alive. Mu Xinhai turned around. Fan Jin's shocked expression changed instantly, and he looked as if he had a card up his sleeve. When Mu Xinhai saw Fan Jin's expression, he felt much more at ease. He still had a super strong helper, and he would definitely be able to kill off the experts from Wushu Empire. Then he would kill those two traitors with his own hands. Fan Jin really wanted to hide. He really didn't want to think about anything else. Upon seeing this scene, Shiryu's heart almost stopped. I had thought that this girl was a cute girl, but I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that. This girl was actually even more savage than the previous girl. Xiang Liren didn't want to speak anymore. If he hadn't flown out, he might have ended up like Shuri. Fortunately, he was smart. Fortunately, the heavens are protecting me. Lai Gu looked at Kai Yun with a smile. After Kai Yun leaves, I will definitely be the one to go on stage. This is great. After all, there aren't many experts left on the other side, and the remaining experts are all salted fishes that don't have any skills. Wait, these experts don't seem to have any skills. They are all helping His Honor to share his worries. That is the responsibility of a subordinate. Let His Honor have a good rest. Let me, Lai Gu, take care of these salted fishes. Suddenly, Lai Gu heard footsteps coming from the stairs again. What? Why is there someone else coming again? Can't you let me, Lai Gu, act cool for a bit? As the footsteps got closer and closer, Lai Gu swallowed his saliva. Listening to the footsteps, it should be a female. Who could it be? Could it be Brett? Please don't let it be Brett. I love this kind of scene the most. Don't. Hubby, you are here. Did you see the flag master? Yuhua could be seen walking over while wearing a blue robe. Lai Gu let out a breath. Damn it, I was scared to death. Quickly bring your flag master away. Who are those people? Yuhua looked towards the sky and asked curiously. Lai Gu hugged onto Yuhua's willowy waist. Hubby, quickly bring your flag master away. She is tearing apart other people. Look. Yuhua didn't mind Lai Gu's intimate action. Looking down from the city wall, my flag master is really tearing apart other people. However, I don't have any other thoughts. Flag master, time to go home and eat. Yuhua shouted towards Kai Yun. Right now, Kai Yun was currently holding onto Shi Yi's other arm. Suddenly, he heard Yuhua's voice and looked towards the city wall, then shouted out sweetly, I know we are going to eat snake this morning. Look here, what a big snake. Oh, then flag master, hurry up. Alright, let me see if he is still hiding any other snakes or not. Kai Yun smiled sweetly, then tore apart. Ah. Shi Yi's mind was about to collapse. I, a dignified peak stage Do emperor, was actually dismembered by a little girl in front of everyone's eyes. Impossible. How did it become like this? Shouldn't the normal plot be me and the others attacking Wushu Empire, then killing people? Why did I get killed instead? This is simply a nightmare. Hearing the conversation between the little girl and the woman on the city wall, the remaining people felt that they had gone crazy. Such a cruel scene, and you all actually still have the mood to chat and talk about eating breakfast. Just what kind of people are these people? Suddenly, I thought of something. The woman on the city wall seemed to have told the little girl to go home and eat. Quickly go back, listen to your mother, go home and eat. Children shouldn't get involved in the matters of adults. This is not right. In the future, don't act recklessly, and even more so, don't casually tear apart other people's arms and legs. Remember, this is a bad child. At this moment, Kai Yun shook his sleeves and asked curiously, "Just where are you hiding your snakes? Why aren't there any inside your sleeves?" Right now, both of Shi Yi's arms were missing, a large amount of blood was flowing out from his wounds, and his entire face was deathly pale. I was humiliated, and she didn't want to kill me, she was instead looking for snakes. Why would I have such a thought? If you want snakes, just say it, I have a lot of them. Why did you tear apart my arms just because of a disagreement? Can't you have a proper conversation? It couldn't have slipped into your pants, right? Kai Yun cried out in surprise, then stretched out his hand and grabbed onto Shi Yi's thigh. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.